And it looks like we are live. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to yet another Hangout. So this will be a very short one. And the reason for that is simple. The video we're going to take a look at is only 95 seconds long. But in my opinion, it contains enough stupid to be actually worthy of faith in having a Hangout about this. So today with me, I got Rumpus.
Hey.
Hey. Terry Davies.
G'day, mate.
Hey, how are you? Neslik.
Hello.
Okay, Micro.
Hey.
And last but not least, my second favorite Dutch person, Amaria.
Why, hello there.
Hey. Okay, so this is a video about someone who I have actually not talked about yet. It's about Flat Earth Perth. This morning, or actually last night, I don't know the exact time, he uploaded this video. You can see the whole planet from 400 kilometers up.
Which is the first part, the first piece of stupid, because no, you can't. Because
yeah, obviously.
The other half of the planet, no matter what altitude you are at, the other side of the planet is always going to be hidden behind the side of the planet you can actually see.
Okay, so what we're going to do is
That's because it's round.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at the first few...
but you're not going to introduce Jared?
Oh, Jared has joined. Hey, Jared.
Shh. Damn it, I was trying to stay quiet.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Well, how are we supposed to know what you are if you're staying quiet if you don't tell us?
But
okay, Jared, so have you seen the video yet?
no.
Okay, has anybody in this Hangout seen the video yet?
No.
I don't watch Flat Earth videos.
Okay, so be prepared for the stupid. As you can see, I currently have this set up on my main computer. We're not using the audio because all the audio this video contains is just background music. And since it might be copyrighted, I don't see any reason risking getting a copyright strike or something. So I just muted it. If you want to take a look at the audio to confirm that there's only music, then go ahead and do so. But I see no reason actually setting up my second machine just to show that.
You could just sing if you want.
No. I mean, the audio is a Flat Earth rap. I think that's saying enough.
I don't like the fact that concept exists.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? Okay, so let's start.
Hello, Mr. Astronaut.
That's an awesome camera lens.
It is, isn't it?
Well, he is in space, so...
I thought it was a green screen.
No, it's just a stage put onto a vomit comet.
Oh, which is why it's already longer than you would be able to have.
I have to stop here already. So for the people that don't know, this part of the space station, which has all those windows around it, it's called the cupola.
Cupola, yes.
Yeah, and it seems to be, first of all, it's obviously useful for like looking out of the window.
That's what windows are
Really?
for.
That's what windows are for. And if you actually take a look at longer videos from the ISS, you will see this thing all the time because it just offers this awesome view.
Thanks for describing what windows do.
Although that may be too technical for flat earthers to understand already.
Marco's feeling mischievous.
What version of Windows is it running?
Let me think.
Well, it has to be Windows Vista because look at the view.
Oh God.
Oh, get out.
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay, so
Fuck you.
I warn you in the next 15 seconds or maybe 20, it's gonna get very, very painful.
So cushions ready, everybody.
Ready? And by the way, remember this frame or this setting. So basically, there's Earth all around the corners. You can, if the cupola wasn't there, the camera would only be seeing Earth. Like there's no space in there, like around it.
I would love to take a nap there.
That would be fucking awesome. Okay, let's go.
Until you float and hit your head.
Okay, stop. So, Flat Earth Perth decided to actually screenshot this image. Obviously, you can see the surface of the planet neatly curving.
Mm-hmm.
As he's asking, you can see the whole globe from 400 kilometers up.
And as we always established, you can't do that.
With 3 question marks.
Let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, so yeah, I checked the numbers. That's roughly correct.
Yes.
Okay, he's now changed to Google Earth. Any predictions on what he's gonna do?
Oh, I know. I think he's looking whether he can see the whole Earth in one frame, or at least, of course, the one side of the Earth in one frame.
Okay. Any other predictions?
He's not going to try and emulate what's being shown in the window.
Yeah, you're both pretty close.
I reckon there might be some zooming involved.
Let's see.
Yep.
Yes.
He's getting higher.
Now, are we moving away from the planet, or is the planet moving away from us?
We are moving away from the planet. It's a lot easier to move a camera than to move a whole planet.
Everything's moving.
Okay, relative.
Ta-da! I was right.
Yeah, Neslick is right.
Yeah.
Okay, he does understand, like, that unless, like, for fuck's sake, that image doesn't have the same field of view as your eyes.
No. That's not the point, Micro. So let's.
Well, that's. I would reckon that
it's
also
much
the point.
easier. It's
Yeah,
much easier.
It's much easier, yeah.
Yes, I know that, but that's also a
if you're
point.
watching, I'm just gonna set the altitude of me over the Earth in Google Earth also on 500 kilometers.
I was just doing that, Alex, you little devil.
So as you can see over here, the German word Sichthöhe means observer height. So I'm setting that to.
Or so you say.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, and you can tilt
500.
Yeah, and you can
So as
tilt
you can see in this view, you can only see Earth. But look what happens when we actually look around.
Oh no!
Bum bum bum.
Hey, I can see it.
Yeah, I know, right? So can I.
Oh
Hey, I wonder if that curve.
This
I
will
wonder
be
if that
copyright
curve matches the curve in the
universal.
picture. I wonder if that curve matches the curve in the picture.
So let's go back to his video.
Ooh, it's looking very close.
Pretty
Actually.
damn close.
Obviously,
Yeah.
this is a question of actually zoom
Wonder why that might be.
field of view of the camera.
Yeah.
But this is not the point that I have with this. First of all, it's stupid enough for him that he doesn't understand like that you can tilt your view in Google Earth and actually see what they are seeing.
Yeah.
But this is not the relevant part. The part is that he wasn't talking about this view. Right? In this video later, he showed that if you're at 500 kilometers looking straight down, you don't see the horizon.
Yeah.
Which is what he is showing in this frame.
Right.
So why is he not including this, comparing it to Google Earth, and then comparing the other one to Google Earth? Is this just stupidity, or is it dishonesty?
No, it's stupidity.
No, he doesn't know that the people in the ISS cannot see the whole face of the Earth in one view. Like they have to tilt their own head around to see like for one side or the other side.
Yeah, that's one thing. Also, what I just noticed, even if they would like remove the cupola and then stitched all the frames that he just took, or the astronaut just took together, obviously at some point you would see the entire visible Earth, including the horizons. But then it would be Flat Earth Perth's job to actually check on whether you can see an entire hemisphere, instead of, for example, when you take a look at this. I used. What am I gonna use? I'm gonna use Celestia.
You said either stupidity or dishonesty. Can I pick both?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. You see, they want to believe in something, but they are not sensible enough to understand what they're doing is wrong.
Okay, so
it's mostly stupidity, but it's a wish for something to be true. And if you're not constrained by your reasonable level of intelligence, then you can do what you like. Everything makes sense to you if you're stupid. There are no rules. You're no constraints if you're stupid.
Okay, so let's take a look at Celestia, okay? obviously I have the same time set, and currently I have the same zoom and the same distance to the planet. You can see that on the top left. Currently the distance is roughly 32,000 kilometers. And here it's also 32,000 kilometers. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in here. No, sorry, not going to zoom in. We're going to get closer to the planet. So now the distance is only 3,000 kilometers. Let's actually go a little bit closer on this one. So 16,000 compared to 1,400. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to... God damn it, how do I do this again? Completely forgot the controls of this.
We'll be right back after this message.
Yeah, wait a second.
This hangout was brought to you by technical difficulties. Technical difficulties always fucking things up.
It is quite impressive, though. You've got two occasions to get things on. He's got the view from the cupola, which we saw, and he doesn't compare that against the right Google image. But what he does decide to compare against the Google image is the other frame, which is looking at an angle to the thing. It's quite amazing. You've got, you know, a 50-50 chance there of getting those around the right way. You've got two images, two options of Google Earth, and he managed to get them round the wrong way. It's if there's a possibility of getting something wrong, they get it. Well, I think actually they probably persist in whatever they're doing until they get something that's wrong that agrees with what they want. Because obviously, if they find something that doesn't agree with what they want, they're not going to show it. So I suppose there's a selection mechanism here.
Oh, they'll manipulate it to what they want to get to what they want.
I think the word we're looking for here is confirmation bias.
Yes, or selection bias. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, confirmation bias, selection bias. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, selection bias is slightly different.
Yeah, you're selecting.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed.
Sorry, I didn't have those big words ready.
Yeah, confirmation is the technical term for that. Yeah, if you're, if you look, you just simply.
You look for things that you look for. Surprise! That was the really dumbed down version.
I didn't want to use any big words.
And you were complaining about Alex and his reference to our Windows work.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. I like to use small words because
I had it right in the first place. So let's actually zoom in a little, not zoom in, move close a little bit more.
Of course, you had it right in the first place. Then we can sit here and talk.
Okay, so let's compare this. So as you can see, approximately the apparent size of the Earth in those pictures is identical. The problem is just that here you can pretty much only see the continent of North America, while here you can see the entire hemisphere. Okay, so Flat Earth Perth's job is it now that from the ISS, if you took a picture of the entire thing and staple it together to get a composite, you wouldn't see this, but you would see this.
Oh my god, that's stupid.
But this is the thing that he's assuming.
Well,
but which he hasn't shown yet. Obviously, we would expect something like this because you're so close to the planet that you cannot see approximately half of the planet. You can see much less than the entire hemisphere.
Yeah, this is the key thing I don't understand. Well, one of the many things I don't understand.
Well, to be fair, many people think that the ISS is like really, really high up, but it's actually...
Yes, but he knows. He knows. He just showed us that he knows how high up it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does he know that's how high that is relative to the Earth, to the radius of the Earth? You need a diagram.
I don't know. I haven't been inside his head.
Yeah, that's what.
Quite frankly, I wouldn't want to go there. I hate echoes.
So let's actually show this. Come on.
You can put a number on it, but conceptually, it's difficult to realize that like the ISS, like on a scale of an apple, it's like not even a centimeter above it.
Yeah, I've got a diagram for this.
To a millimeter.
I've got a diagram for this actually. I can show you.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's called low Earth orbit.
But it's touching the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that the atmosphere, well, I suppose they don't know how high the atmosphere. I mean, the atmosphere what's?
I mean, it is touching the atmosphere slightly. That's why you have to boost it for ground.
But it's not well, the atmosphere technically it ends at 60 miles up at the Karma
limit. No, that's the arbitrary line where we say space start.
Yes. Yeah, but you could argue the atmosphere goes on, you know, never stops really. Then in that case,
I mean, no, it goes on until it loses the until other bodies become the gravitationally dominant forces in the system.
Okay, so take a look at
well,
this.
that would be all the way to the moon.
The inner circle of this diagram represents the surface of the planet, while the outer circle represents an altitude of 500 kilometers. The ISS is always below that line. That means if you are, let's say, on 500 kilometers height, somewhere here, the entire part of the Earth that you can see, where is it? There it is this tiny speck from here to here. That's it.
Assuming your eyes, like, assuming you look around, like you're actually like just looking ahead, you wouldn't see that much.
I mean, obviously, that's the entire surface. If you were to turn around and actually look at the entire surface, that's what you could see at maximum.
If you could make one eye go to the left and one eye to the right at the same time.
Yeah. Or by
if you were a chameleon who went to space.
Well, you could use a wide-angle lens. The point is that is the limit of what you could see.
You could do that, or you could just staple the images together.
Yeah.
That's
or you could stable on other eyes.
Yeah, that's a good diagram there, Alex. Actually, like, that really does. Even a flat earther should be able to see what's going on there and why there's a limit.
Yeah,
but sure. It's now Flat Earth Perth's job to show that what is seen from the ISS is more than that. Because if we were to see more than that, then that would be a good indication that the footage is actually fake.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I guess.
Showed them the. Have you showed that animation that one of my subs made, where it shows the difference between the angles or the camera wide, the angle of like that it can see, and the distance from the Earth, because it shows this exact model where it goes in and out. And it shows that how the angle of the camera and the distance from the Earth actually makes the Earth look, or makes the continents look different sizes without changing the shape of a circle. You know, what you can see as being a circle. It doesn't change that at all.
You mean what I'm currently screen sharing?
We're showing that. We don't really need the animation.
Okay.
So yeah,
you're a bit quiet skeptic.
Yeah.
I'll fix that now.
Yeah, so this is demonstrating. What height have you got for? Right, so that actually matches your diagram. Yes, okay. So you've actually got that the right height, have you, for the ISS? On the right.
No. This is not to scale yet. So let's actually move to a distance that's approximately the altitude of the planet.
It's just
so
gonna be a pixelated blur.
417 kilometers. That's close enough.
Yeah.
I actually can't zoom further out. Well, not zoom further out, but zoom further out. Oh yeah, that's the maximum.
In your GeoGebra diagram, Alex, has that got? Can you see what the angle is between those 2 points? So we can actually then say what angle, what latitude that represents, the span of latitudes there. Yeah. So what are the angles between C and D?
Oh, you mean those angles? Okay.
Yeah. So what's that? In other words, what's the latitude D? What's the latitude C? And therefore, what's the difference between them?
Oh, wait, that's easy. So we need. Do we only need the difference between them?
Yeah, I just want to know what the angular size of that is. Yeah. So then we could then say,
that's 44 degrees.
Right. So therefore we just need to know what looks like 44 degrees. That is for instance, is the United States from top to bottom 44 degrees, or from Mexico to Canada 44 degrees, and then you can say that matches exactly what we'd expect to see then. Well, so we know what 44 degrees looks like in latitude. If we go to Google Earth or whatever, just look at a map and say this is what 44 degrees looks like. That's what we'd expect the visual span of the view from the ISS to be. So yes, if you want to look at that view you've got there. So
do it on Australia. That'll be better. Then you can.
Well, it's looking at the picture was of America, wasn't it?
Let's just start from the equator. From the equator here, 44 degrees approximately to the Great Lakes.
Well, we'll match it against what your diagram you had earlier. So yeah, so you in your diagram above, which you were showing at the height in Celestia, you could say, and you're looking at America. So what is 44 degrees? And then we can see where that compares with what you were looking at in Celestia. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite hard to do because I actually cannot change the field of the camera in.
You can do it from the North Pole. You can do it from the North Pole, and then you could.
That's a good idea. Okay. So that would be to 45 north, right? Approximately.
So it's going to be So basically, it's hard. It's a quarter circle, isn't it? Basically, yeah. So the span we're expecting to see is just a quarter of
from the center of the image. No, wait, the entire thing, right? Yeah, I'm off by a factor of 2, obviously. So.
Hey, I can see my house again.
That would be approximately it.
Right, but we could see what 45 degrees on the America bit what you were looking at before. Surely you can just. I don't quite understand why you're having a problem just showing. Yeah, so we can see there. Basically, that's the this US and up to Alaska.
Rumpus, we're still much further away.
Oh, I see. So
1,000 kilometers.
Oh,
so
right,
if I actually zoom further in.
Oh, right. You zoomed in rather than moved in. Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm now at a distance of 500 kilometers.
That's fine.
Because I cannot zoom further out, I can only zoom further in, and that makes no sense at the distance because I would just get a blurry mess from the
right. We can't really see what you're looking at there.
But I mean, I think seeing the fact that we can see a quarter of the a quarter.
Yeah.
It's all blurry mess.
A quarter of 180 degrees. Yeah, that's what that looks like, about a quarter. So yeah, so basically you would see. Yeah, you'd see a quarter of what you'd expect of the when you're looking at the Earth.
Yeah, so it's an eighth of the entire.
Well, 360. Yeah, but it's a quarter of from North Pole to South Pole. In other words, yeah.
Yeah, so an eighth of the entire Earth.
Yeah, 360.
Approximately, yeah.
Yes, which is
more or less
so it matches.
Which is like. I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually what we can see on those pictures. Because it didn't really show that.
Well, we can do it in Google Earth, can't we? I mean, that could show.
No, but I mean, obviously we can do it in Google Earth, but what I was asking if we can't really say how much we can actually see from the ISS just based on the images he's using.
You know, I'm actually surprised by the eternal talent of making a 1 minute and 35 seconds video take almost half an hour to debunk.
It's just
no, we debunked it super quickly. Now we're just we're
trying to quantify everything. I mean, we're trying to quantify things, and we're really involving ourselves in the issue.
I mean that's the excuse.
Oh, sorry. That we almost take 30 minutes to flock a dead horse.
Yes.
Yeah, but
I have a question to the side chat. So if you think that Flat Earth Perth's the way that he deals with this in his video, if you think it's more dishonesty than idiocy than type 1, and if you think it's mostly idiocy than type 2.
What if you think it's equal parts both?
Yeah, fuck you, Micro.
I'm in a good mood today.
Okay, so so far it's pretty 50-50.
It's a case of confirmation bias. They're not constrained by
50-50
logic. They're just able to. Anything will do. They can just see something and say, "Oh, that looks," and I'll make this inference from it. But because they don't realize they're doing something stupid, because they're stupid. They're too stupid to realize how stupid they are.
Yeah, that's the Dunning-Kruger right there.
It's they don't know what they do. If they really, I mean, you see, it's just so obviously stupid. You see, this is why I don't believe it's dishonest. It's so obviously stupid, can be so easily debunked that no one who was on an intelligent person who was on a campaign of dishonesty would use this as an argument because it's so stupid and so easy to refute. So hence, it's not dishonest. It's just wishful thinking combined with stupidity.
I tend to agree, but I mean the fact that he didn't recognize, or he didn't include the first picture, right? The first footage of the ISS where no horizon was shown, and compared that to the altitude as shown in Google Earth. That one makes me think that he's more stupid than dishonest.
Yeah,
because he must know. If he was dishonest, he would at least acknowledge that his audience would be able to spot that and not have it in his video. Right? He wouldn't even show that part of the ISS footage.
Well, it could always be both.
Yeah, I think Harry Wart makes a good point. Which is the argument used against my argument, which is that the audience that they are talking to are so stupid that they think they can get away with it, and they're not really interested in refuting or dealing with globers. They're just interested in confirming what flatties think. And so any stupid... I mean, I've just been going through this angular size thing as some idiot for like one that Nathan mentioned or something. And a whole thing about angular size, when it's just oodles and hours of drawing lines on things which are just stupid. But it convinces all the comments of these videos on angular size. Oh my God, this is really simple, easy to understand. And obviously, if you've got an audience like that, they'll accept anything you say because they want to believe it. They don't have any critical apparatus. Then yes, I suppose you could argue that these people could be dishonest and think I can offer any stupid argument, and all these people get all excited about it, and they won't, and you won't get caught out except by the globers, and of course the globers are just ignored by the other flatties as being, I don't know, malicious in their action or something. So yeah, that's a good point. Harry Warp's making a good point. That is the counter argument to what I'm making.
Okay, is there anything else to talk about?
Not really. I mean, we've shown why this video is bullshit and why he's an idiot.
Ding.
Thank you.
Ding.
Good diagram, Alex. I think
I'm
that's a good.
still a little tired.
Well, those videos that those people make do have a certain good point on it. And basically, that's just, you can melt your brain cells without alcohol.
Well, there are other possibilities to melt your brain cells away without
but
using
can you
ethanol.
get drunk without alcohol, though? That's the question.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fermented fruit.
That's
That's
still
still
alcohol.
alcohol.
I was about to say that still kill your liver.
Well, I was
no,
thinking
you
about
could
theoretically
get drunk without alcohol. You just have to have something that affects the same. I think it's GABA receptors.
Well, micro, you can also like simulate it to a certain degree by like donating
But that's
blood.
not getting drunk.
I know, but you could, as I said, I think you can actually get quite close by simulating it by maybe donating blood and then going to a place where there's less oxygen in the air, like driving up into the mountain range or something.
Or you can just have salmonella. That's one of the.
That doesn't simulate you being drunk. That just gives you low oxygen amounts.
Trust me, I
Yeah,
don't.
but won't it like affect your brain in a similar way?
No.
Okay, you're the biologist.
I've had salmonella once, and it feels pretty close to being drunk, but just worse.
What did you eat?
Well, it was at Christmas. I was at my dad's place, and he bought this big hunk of meat from the local butcher. But the butcher
salamander.
Wait! From the butcher? Was it part of him? What kind of butcher was it?
Shut the fuck up. So the butcher contaminated the meat with chicken and all sorts of other meat and shit. And when we were eating, like day after, we were just all sick.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was bad. I was sick for 2 weeks.
Oh dear.
You know, I got sick one time from eating it was like 12 or 13 pounds of crab legs.
Holy fucking shit!
Okay, well, first off, when they sell them by the pound, you're not talking about eating the meat. They're selling it with the shell and all.
Wait, stop! Before you continue, do you guys remember that old Simpsons episode where Apu accidentally poisons Homer with thawed up shrimps?
No.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't watch that
Yeah,
show.
there was a scene. Okay, I'm sorry I poisoned you. To make everything fine again, I give you 5 pounds of frozen shrimp. Hey, wait, those aren't frozen. 10. Okay, let's make it 10 pounds. And the next, then the camera switches to a scene in which Homer is transported to the hospital. Seriously, you don't remember that?
I feel his pain.
That's a classic
I feel
Simpsons
his pain.
moment.
No, I don't remember that, but I'll have to check that one out because I feel his pain. Me, my friend, and my wife, we all got sick, and it wasn't from just eating too much shrimp or too much crab legs. And I've never felt sicker in my life, man. For like 4 days, it felt like my entire stomach was just full of fucking crab legs.
All scuttling around.
Just pinching each other.
Well, that's the pinchers, not the legs.
I don't think
I was eating those too, but not the crunchy part. But I was eating that too.
I don't think I've ever eaten something that like knocked me out in the way you described.
Well, food
just
poisoning
felt
is
gross.
a bitch.
Well, try to eat Arnold Schwarzenegger and see if you have the same effect. You'll get punched out, though.
What?
Well, if you try to eat Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm pretty sure he will punch your lights out.
He's an old man now.
Yeah, but
he could still kick the ever-loving shit out of a majority of people.
yeah, he can still break you in two.
But speaking of things that really make you feel sick, has anyone ever seen someone with Giardia?
No, what is that?
Is it something from Narnia?
Sounds fucking familiar. What is that?
It gives you massive diarrhea and stomach cramps.
Yeah.
And it strips a lot of the good bacteria in your gut, and it literally takes like 3 to 4 months to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Now that's fun. I want it.
Have you ever seen the effects of a black widow spider bite on somebody?
No.
No, but I have
That-
seen the brown recluse bite.
I had a buddy of mine who was a air traffic controller on our military base, and we were in the middle of the desert. So we had all kinds of spiders out there, and he laid down on one, and it bit him on the back. He was bedridden for, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks with like massive diarrhea and vomiting because you can't really. That's they can give you an anti-venom, but they can give it to you only one time. So they have to wait for you to be in like a life-threatening situation before they give you the anti-venom. But if you so the doctor evaluates you and they go, "Oh, you think you can make it through this black widow bite?" And you say, "Yes, I think I can," because you don't want to take it that one time and then fuck that one time when you're going to die and you need it. So that's how they treat you, man. They put you in bed and you just sweat it out. And it takes like 3 to 4 weeks to get rid of all the venom.
You don't actually sweat it out, but fair enough.
Well,
You're breaking up, Team Skeptic.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
I kind of want to try that now.
This is the type of shit that makes me be glad that there are no poisonous animals around here.
First of all, a black widow spider isn't poisonous. It's venomous.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean.
Second of all, there are both poisonous and venomous animals.
Yeah, that's quite different.
Sorry, but there are toxic creatures around you.
Well, I'm not talking about like bees or something.
Oh,
Those don't count.
Toxic creatures around you.
Adders?
No, I'm talking about small children on their Xbox.
Oh God, no.
I've been told that there's some venomous type animals or insects where I am.
Do you guys know that feel when you drive over a speed bump near the kindergarten, then you remember that there actually is no speed bump in that area?
Oh, brutal. Fucking love it.
Well, this went from like something debunking something to making fun of.
Hang on. So S2000 GT just said in the chat, "I've eaten a dodgy beaver before, dude. We don't need to know about your sex life."
Well, them blue waffles though. Well, this hangout is demonetized now.
It was never monetized to begin
Mariah,
with.
you realize that I have no monetization whatsoever enabled on my channel. I don't have a super chat and I don't have ads.
Boo!
That means you don't take money at all?
No, not from YouTube.
He will, however, take money for other things.
Yeah, fuck you, Micro.
I wasn't implying that.
Yeah, no, you weren't implying that. I was.
Micro has a dirty mind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I never say anything like that sort of stuff.
As you can tell, he's not a solid cyan. He has that actual dirty look to him.
Creepy.
That's just being Danish.
Also that.
Remember, as the Dane becomes older, at some point it will feel the urge to build a submarine and then decapitate a Swedish reporter.
I always thought Micro was Chechnyan, so my bad.
I mean that is how we're gonna take back Skåne. That was a niche joke.
Boom.
Okay, so I see
I'm
there's
not
a new
even sure
Riley.
anyone in here actually got that joke.
I see there's a new Riley video. Do you want to take a look at that?
Oh yes, sure.
It's called Mick West represents sunlight with laser light. As I currently don't have the audio prepared, does somebody else?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
My only problem is I've got a customer. Well, my customer didn't get here at 1:15. They're getting here at 2. So I'm about that. Or I guess you guys, it's
2000
hours. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's in
25 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
So I would do it, but I don't want to be. I can't be responsible for starting and stopping it. So
I mean, we can just continue after you leave, so don't worry.
I mean, I don't. If I pipe the audio.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Jared, don't
All
you?
right, let me turn off Doom.
You're playing. Wait, stop. Which Doom are you playing? The 1994 one or the 2016 one?
Brutal.
Nice.
God.
What he actually means is let me close Pornhub.
That's the same thing.
Jared, you, Micro, Mariah, and me, we really need to play some Blood GDX together.
Well,
it is so much better than the original. So, all right, hang on a second.
Well, it's pretty much it's like only updated, right? You get full HD and a stable frame rate. Otherwise, there's no changes whatsoever.
Hey, I've been aching to play Duke Nukem 3D with you.
What?
Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah, that brings back memories.
I know.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought you said Duke Nukem 3D Witcher.
No. With ya.
I think you meant to say with you.
With ya.
Yeah, I get it, but it sounded super weird.
With ya.
If he had taken Witcher 3 and just Duke modded it.
Hey, one sounds like he has a potato lodged in his throat. The other sounds like a mad scientist, and I'm a Dutchman. So hey, we got that going.
That's not a potato.
No. I'm not sure where we're going with this.
Okay, so let's wait.
Someone stop me.
Yeah.
Blood does use the same engine. However, the
a modified version of that engine.
No, it's actually one-to-one the same engine. They just used some features that were not used while making Duke 3D.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, the voxel capability was in Duke 3D, just wasn't used in the level design.
Why?
No idea. Oh yeah, Jared, Link is coming. Give me a second.
All right, guys, I'll be back after my customer leaves.
If they leave.
Eat your customer.
Okay, shutting down all of this.
But just be careful, they're not full of dodgy crab legs.
So if you're interested, the source port is called Blood GDX. You have to run it with Java runtime environment, but otherwise it's pretty awesome. Get about 1,000 FPS.
Well, didn't I play that with you before?
Yeah, that's the one you played with me. Yeah.
Yeah, with the voodoo doll poking.
Yep.
No, that's fun.
It's actually the best weapon in the game when it comes to like shooting at enemies at large distances.
Yeah, because everything on the screen dies.
Yeah, exactly. When there's nothing in your field of view, then the voodoo doll will damage you instead.
That's a minor oops.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that Mike fucking Adams has been suspended from Twitter.
Who?
Who's
The
Mike
Elf
Adams?
Ranger.
Who?
Who? There's an echo here. Who?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know. Like, I've given you his name and his handle. How much more do you need? The guy who runs Natural News.
Oh, right.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay, I'll still say who.
A dipshit.
Like me. Oh, all right.
No, not like you. An actual dipshit.
You're just a fake dipshit.
Yeah, Ola, the name of the game is Blood.
Yeah, I got that one. I've still got that.
And
I
if
also
I'm,
still
if
have
I'm concerned,
Blood.
the game is
I
actually
need it to
better.
live.
It's actually better than the first Doom, in my opinion.
Well,
And it's definitely better than Doom 3D.
That's an unfair comparison.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it is.
No, why?
Because it came out later.
That doesn't say anything.
Okay, the technology is
Okay, how many years gap was there between the release of the two?
2.
And games progressed how much in those 2 years?
They actually progressed much faster in the next 3 years. From 1998 to 2001, you had the complete switch from 2D or 2.5D engines to 3D engines. That change was much more rapid than the one between Doom and Blood.
yeah, but we still agree that
And actually, I'm not necessarily talking about the engine. I'm talking about the level design.
You know, I still have like an original CD of like Heretic lying around here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And some other old school games.
I think Heretic used the Doom engine as well.
Yeah, it did use the Doom engine. I also have like the original CD of Age of Empires 2.
Holy shit. I just bought Anno 1602 2 days ago on Good Old Games. I actually played this game first in 1999 or so, but I only had the correct version and never the expansion packs. So I thought, I'll invest the tenner and actually play this a little bit. I never knew that the volcanoes could actually erupt in the game. This must have been added later.
I just actually checked my Blood, and it's Blood 2, actually, the Chosen.
Blood 2 shit.
Oh, okay.
What about Quake?
Well, Terry, if you get to play Blood 1, it's so much better designed than Blood 2 that it hurts. Like,
also if your blood, if you associate hurting and get both hurting and blood, stop whatever you're doing.
I got Sentient. I don't even remember playing that one.
I got like a whole bunch of old games from like year 0 of gaming.
Year 0 of gaming? You mean like Pong?
Yeah, I got
No. Year 0 of gaming is several thousand years ago when people started playing games.
Basically, no, like games from the 90s. I still got like a whole bunch of them.
I got Quake.
And I even still have, I think it was around here somewhere,
I can't remember what Quake was
old
about.
cartridge of the Donkey Kong on the Game Boy.
Jeez, keep going with these games. I might have more of them here.
Yeah, Terry, if you want, we can play a round of Blood later.
What else have I got here?
Sounds dirty.
What about the one where I like the smell of burnt plastic in the morning?
I have to go for a minute. I have to go to the store.
Okay, you have to buy your products, like
my 55-gallon barrel of lube.
Something similar. I was imagining something similar to tobacco, but with differently shaped.
You don't go to the store for that.
I don't smoke weed nor smoke. At least not anymore.
You just call for
by the way, congratulations on quitting.
It's already 2 years ago, mate.
It does make a difference.
Like 2 years ago, I quit smoking. So yeah, I'll be back later.
By the way, that reminds me, I need beer. Give me a second.
I got some beer here. Hey, talk to you guys later.
Righto.
See ya.
I do have a blood here, but it doesn't say blood 2, so it must be the first one.
Does it say what type it is?
What operating system does it need? If it's made for Windows, it's blood 2. If it's made for DOS, it's blood 1.
DOS PC.
That's blood 1.
That's one. That's the good one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I had that. I forgot about that one. Oh, I'll keep looking here. They're all above me, up on my desk here.
Hey, obviously, you can't run it in Windows 10 anymore. You will need an emulator.
I like that you say anymore. I don't think you could run it in Windows 10 at any point.
Yeah, Micro, you can. You can actually run it in Windows 10 32-bit, but who uses 32-bit Windows 10?
What about Windows 7?
Only if it's 32-bit, and then it's close. It might work.
I can switch it down to 32.
No, don't do that.
Whoa, why? Why would you want to?
Just to play the game.
Terry, I'll send you the game files for the source port later.
Yeah.
Trust me, you will love this. Yeah, Brainery, I usually use DOSBox as well, but in the case of Blood, the source port is actually so good that you don't have to use it anymore.
Source pot just sounds like something you use in a kitchen.
That beer is fucking good.
What's source pot?
Scarface. I don't even know what that.
Source port.
Source pot. What's source pot?
Basically, you take the source code of the engine.
Okay, I thought you were referring to the application. Yes, of course. Yeah, source port. The source code. Yeah, right. Okay.
And then you like improve it in whatever way you see necessary, and then recompile it.
Yeah, right.
In my head, it's now you have like a pot where you have source in, and there's a hole, and that hole is the source port because it's where the source comes out of.
Okay.
Sauce pot?
I live in a much different world.
Okay, I think
my own creation.
I think while waiting off Jared, I now have to show this to you guys.
Yeah, 5% left to download, and it's deciding to go into a pulse mode instead of active download.
Okay, so Blood GDX.
No, I can't find any others.
Obviously, no sound, and you will get a very crappy frame rate. So,
I've never played Blood. What is this?
Oh, you will see.
Looks very doomy.
No, it isn't.
Or
it's much
Quakey.
better.
Oh, yeah, Quakey. In fact.
Yeah, Quake is Quake isn't even close.
Quakey's got better graphics.
Go away, stupid zombie.
I think I played this with my brother when he first got his Sony's or something or whatever it was.
Did the Tombstone say Dracula?
Why the fuck? There we go. That's much better.
Gee, this brings back memories.
What, being in a graveyard at night and killing people?
Spontaneous combustion of monk or something.
No, I set him on fire with a flare gun.
That's the like base weapon. That is a weapon that literally sets the enemies on fire.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I mean, adding more graphics is nice, but the thing you actually play a game for is the gameplay, and so that's really the crucial bit, isn't it? So I can understand interest in legacy games if the game.
I mean the graphics also enhance gameplay.
Bitches.
Yes, they do. Yeah, but a little bit. It's the gameplay is the key thing. God, I haven't seen anything with this pokey. No, it's not a trident. Whatever the.
Pitchfork.
It's not a pitchfork with three prongs, aren't they? Normally,
yeah,
or two. Two.
It's a fork. It's a fork you use to pitch for pitch with. I don't think the definition of fork it really depends on on how many teeth it has.
A pitchfork, I think, has only got 2 prongs. I think.
No, what do you bale hay with?
Yeah. And that's a pitchfork.
3 or 4 time.
Yeah. Perhaps.
See, if you're trying to rule the 7 seas, then it's a trident.
What about if you're trying to rule one of Neptune's moons?
Oh no, I can see some pictures of some 4-pronged pitchforks here. Okay. Usually,
Also, I'm gonna like just because of what game this is. I think pitchfork is probably what it's called in the actual game.
but that's what I was wondering. Yeah,
It
that's
is.
Game is fucking.
Oh, here, right. True pitchforks typically only have 2 or 3 tines, while manure forks have 4 or more. So in
At
fact-
LRJ88, I actually have played Shadow Warrior for the first time only a few days ago. I only got the shareware version. All I have to say about this game is, who wants some wang?
I mean, that
And the
depends.
silence falls over the room.
Oh, the main character in Shadow Warrior is called Lo Wang.
I thought we were supposed to be looking at a Sleeping Warriors video or something.
We're downloading it.
All right.
1.5% remaining.
Right.
Okay, so this is weird super secret, which is super annoying to reach.
So, Jared,
like
do you
the-
use the whatever, I forget what it's called now, the thing the thing that moves video, so you can get the audio straight to the Hangout? You're using whatever it's called, the
Voice meter.
voice meter. Right, okay.
What are you doing?
There's you can go through this
There's
wall. It's on
yeah,
the texture, and there's a fucking napalm launcher behind it, and I want it. It's like super hard to reach it.
Napalm launcher. That sounds good.
Yes.
It's pretty much a usual rocket launcher.
Oh,
I
right.
just renamed it because it sets everything on fire, like apart from exploding everything to giblets. By the way, Jared, I'm a little bit disappointed that you don't know what a giblet is.
Isn't that a small rodent?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, it's
You don't know what a
part
giblet
of
is?
turkey.
Yes, exactly.
It-
That's what
Well, in
innards.
gaming, a giblet or jib is just a random piece of meat that look at this zombie, okay? What I'm gonna do with him now is called jibbing. He always like smashes into little pieces.
Right.
That's jibbing.
That's a good
All right.
graphic. Now, that fire was bloody well done. Someone put a lot of effort into that at that time. That's a bloody good little graphic. That's fantastic, actually.
Remember, theoretically, this is not a 3D engine.
Right.
Yeah, except it is.
It has. Well, you'll definitely. Right. Can you not go up and down then? I can't remember because was it Doom?
You can. You can go up and down. You can jump. Even Doom, the Doom engine is still technically 3D. It's just very poor at handling 3D. But it is doing 3D stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Even if you can't move around up and down or something.
Yes, it's true. It's true that the way the graphics are presented, they use a trick to to display the 3D.
But they're still mapped in 3D. It's the textures are done as a 2D, but the actual...
it's not actually mapped in. It's not actually mapped.
There's actually no 3D objects in this game apart from, well, this one contains voxels, so technically there is, but everything else is two-dimensional.
Yeah, and in Doom, the original Doom, there's none of it is.
All the enemies, for example, are sprites.
Right, the walls, but to texture the walls, you've got, say, you're going there. They have to be going up and down, and then you do a 2D transformation to.
No, but the up and down in Doom is actually like an illusion. They're not. You don't actually have. That's also why you can't go have rooms that go above or below each other.
Right, but to texture these walls, you've got to have these walls in 3D to.
No.
Shadowing.
They are only lines.
Just color. Yeah, just color variation.
You have two bits of data. Bits is the wrong word. But you have 2 pieces of data for them. You have the position, and you have the texture that's drawn upon them. That's all you need.
All right. Well, I'm ready for the stupid when you guys are.
Okay, so. Yeah, of course I had to. You can reach me on the GeoStreber. Okay, Jared, I'm presenting you starting right now.
You need to turn up the audio. We can't hear shit.
It's too silent.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
Before you start, if anybody is currently in Germany, I now recommend Gutmann's Weizenbock. That stuff is awesome.
This is a drink, is it, Alex?
Yes, it's a bock made on wheat.
All right,
yeah,
ready?
well, Alex has recommended me a couple of things I've gone and bought from local stores in the UK, and I'm not a great fan of wheat beers, so I don't. That's a wheat beer, is it, Alex?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I can. Okay.
Okay, so
Did you hear it that time?
The sound is fine. It's actually a little bit too loud.
And that's at 80%. Let's go. You know what? Let's put it at 66%.
Mick West brought a video out yesterday trying to demonstrate how light refracts through the atmosphere. And obviously he sets up his fish tank and he puts his water in and he sprinkles all his sugar over. And I was quite impressed with it. I have seen it before, but I've never seen it like constructed from nothing. So this is quite good. So he fills up his tank and he puts his Toronto skyline in, replicating obviously Jennifer's, Frodo, whatever her surname is. Chucks in all his salt, or such sugar in this case, I think it was, and then he sets up his laser and he demonstrates that it appears to curve over an obstruction. And if it was the Earth that was spherical, we can see that this is how it can do it. And I was like, take out the curvy thing, because if this isn't representing a sphere setup, because you'd have to do sphere with a flat plane, take the thing out. So that's what I said to him to do, and take it out and do it again. And to be fair to him, he's done it again. Now, regardless of the ins and outs,
I'm not entirely sure what his issue is here.
I think Riley is complaining that the bottom of the aquarium is perfectly straight, where it should be a little bit curved.
No, the other way around.
The other way around.
Anthony's bitching that the curved plate is in there to give to be analogous to the surface of the Earth, as opposed to being a flat surface, which is what he really would wish his lives would bear out to be.
And see if the light curves and all that.
Okay.
So,
he's admitting that the compression is caused by the density gradient. Okay, on a sphere it can't do that, because the gradient is getting less as it goes over distance. The gradient is not getting more, because the curve's dropping away. So you're looking.
What is he talking about?
Yeah.
He again is sticking with the arrogantly ignorant and dishonest misunderstanding of how vision works, and sticking with a tangent from your position instead of actually initially following the surface and then becoming a tangent after the horizon.
I'm not sure that helped me.
He's conflating drop with hidden again.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. But the only difference between drop and hidden is the altitude. I mean, if you are at zero height, then the drop and the hidden would become the same thing.
No, drop on the curve calculators are from the tangent established at the observer.
Yeah, but if the observer height is zero, then drop and hidden become the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's also not completely correct, Rumpus, because drop doesn't include the angle change, whereas hidden does.
No, it's the same thing. If you have an observer height of zero, then drop and hidden are the same thing.
No, you're not completely right. Let me show my screen.
No arguing in the ranks, boys.
I'm just gonna use paint because fuck it.
Establishing clarity.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't see what you're getting at, Alex.
I know there's a feature of water that light can bend through water.
Okay, so this is your line of sight, okay?
Oh, sorry. So I had okay, right, here we go. Yep.
Okay. green is drop from a certain position.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. And for fuck's sake. And blue is hidden.
Right. Yeah, right. Now there are two sorts of. That's the surveyor's drop you've just drawn there. Because there are two sorts of drop.
But that's what we mean by drop and hidden.
That's the one, Rumpus, that all the curve calculators use.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
I'm pretty sure it is.
No, they don't. No, the green one is the. I mean, up to about 200 miles, those two things are the same. But if you go further out, then the formula for drop is the green one. Although surveyors use the blue one, and the blue one is what the hidden calculates. But they are, yes.
Yeah, and as said, you just agreed that they are not identical. They just get closer.
Right,
closer
but up to 200
smaller the
miles.
distance is.
Okay. Well, okay, but you just said hold on. Which one of those, the blue and the green, do you think
green?
Is the drop?
Green is the drop. Blue is the hidden.
That is correct. Okay, yes, and that's called surveyor. Well, I call that surveyor's drop. The blue one. Yes. You are right, but up to about 200 miles, those are in fact the same thing.
Yeah, obviously those will run further and further apart the bigger the distance is.
Yeah, okay. I'll agree with you actually. Okay, I was trying to use a simplified thing. Yes, the hidden is technically the hidden is the blue one, and that is what's called what I would call the surveyor's drop, and the green one is the drop that we most use. Things like the S squared, the half mile, the 8 inches per mile squared is what the the green one calculates. So indeed, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah.
I just want to cross references with the Earth curvature calculator. So distance, let's say, I don't know, 50. Pure height in feet would be 0.
Yeah, I was actually just playing with that.
It's 80 kilometers. That's what I'm more interested in. Here you see this, the hidden value. Obviously, it's the other way around as I drew it. So, wait a second.
Well, no, it's just
No, hidden is this part. That one here. While
make that observer height 0, and then you get the.
There we go.
And
up
to about
I cannot actually set it to 0.
There.
Yeah, right. And up to 200 miles.
There we go. That's almost perfect.
And
so yeah, you see, that's the drop. That's the hidden.
Yeah.
Obviously, those you can calculate one by having the other and knowing this angle, which is obviously identical.
Indeed, and up to about 200 miles, those are in fact identical. And the one's called hidden, I tend to call surveyor's drop. So some people call that. If you talk to a surveyor, they will call that the drop.
Yeah, obviously, I'm referencing this because this is a terminology we should be at this point.
I actually give you that, Alex. Yes, I'm not. Given the fact I've done all these formulas, yes, if you want to, the drop and hidden. But as an approximation, you can say when you're at 0 height, it's perfectly reasonable to say that the drop when you're the observer height 0 is equal to the hidden. That's a very reasonable approximation, mate. But technically, I'll give you. You're right, Alex.
Okay, going back to Jared.
Through the gradient that's getting less. Anyway, I said to him, take it without. So
the gradient getting less.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't understand.
Getting less. I think he's mixing up the first derivative of the function with the second derivative.
Yep.
Are you surprised?
The mathematics nerds among us.
Or just people who listened in high school math.
The interesting thing is obviously the bending of the laser will be in some way be a function of the gradient, meaning of the difference between in this case the densities of the sugar molecules in the water. And Riley thinks that they are a function of the change of the density.
I reckon it's salt water because if it's meant to represent ocean, well, no, it might be salt.
No, it's sugar.
Yeah, sugar has a higher density, so.
Yeah, well, it doesn't actually matter what you use.
Well, have a bigger effect.
As long as you can control the density of the medium itself, which is in this case the water. Right?
Which is easier to do with sugar, but
yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
That just has to do something with the solubility of the sugar molecules in water.
Well, molecules are dense. A sugar molecule has a higher mass and is more denser than a salt.
I mean, there's no such thing as a salt molecule. So
yeah.
So,
it's just
Rumpus, you have to be careful. You cannot just say that one sugar molecule will cause this. You have to take into account the actual concentrations in the water.
Yeah.
You can get more bending by using salt instead of a smaller concentration of sugar.
Well, if you have an equal concentration of sugar and salt, you'll have greater refraction with the sugar.
Yes.
Right. So you don't need as much sugar as you do salt. You need
but I think the solubility product of sugar is actually higher as that of salt, if I remember correctly. I would have to look that up though.
Okay.
He repeats the experiment, and a clip shown on screen right now, and he's got his laser, and it's not bang on straight, but it's close as damn it. It doesn't make any difference according to physics, because as you get close enough to perpendicular with the vertical gradient, you're looking across it. You're not looking through a gradient. You are looking through a gradient, but everything's constant. So I was
stop.
No, it's not.
You are looking for a gradient, but everything is constant.
Yeah, that's the typical Riley quote of not understanding.
I think actually, he's making more sense than you think. He's making more sense. He's saying on a flat Earth with a gradient, density gradient going from
what he's saying, Rumpus. What he's saying is on the flat Earth, you should have no gradient on the x-axis.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is valid.
Which with perfect homologation, you would. However, the atmosphere, round or flat, is not perfectly homologous.
It's good enough if you're doing these. It's good enough.
No, it's not. Because Rumpus, as soon as you have a little bit of a gradient in whatever, like in the x direction, that light ray will not be completely parallel to the surface anymore. And at this point, it's good enough. Again. At this point, the actual vertical gradient will kick in again.
Yeah, the moment it's kicked off the bit, you start getting
the moment it's not completely parallel to the surface anymore. At this point, the vertical gradient will kick in.
It's like trying to balance a pencil on your on its tip.
Well, no,
it's gonna fall over.
No, but even if you have a slight thing, it will. If you have a uniform thing, it may bend one place, but it's not going to carry on bending. It will. Yes, because it'll be refracted down.
Rumpus. If it bends a little bit at one place, at this point, the light ray is not parallel to the surface anymore, right?
Yes.
Okay. As soon as it's not parallel to the surface anymore, then it will pass through the different layers of sugar density in this case. Yep. And as soon as that's the case, then the refraction will actually be important.
Yeah, because then you're getting your angle of incident to perpetuate the effect.
But it will still refract even if you are coming in at 90 degrees. It doesn't. Even if you're at 90 degrees, it will still refract down.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are trying to correct.
It doesn't need to be. It's not the case of it's not dependent on some inconsistency in the x axis.
Well,
it will bend down even if it was perfectly uniform. It will. Even if you had a perfectly uniform thing, you're going to get the bending.
It depends on how much total refraction actually is important here in this case.
So it would have been good to see this if it was just clear, normal water.
Well, in that case, you wouldn't really see much.
Yeah, you wouldn't see any refraction then.
Well, you probably also wouldn't see the laser.
Yeah, that as well.
That depends a little bit on the strength of the laser. Actually,
obviously.
A little bit of dust in there would be much...
okay, I guess if you put something in that... But I mean, could you put in something like... I don't know. Could you put anything... If you put something in that doesn't dissolve, but it's only suspended. Yeah, I guess then you wouldn't get the
refraction. Yeah, you need to have it. You don't want to use pure water because there's not enough. The density gradient is not enough. So you need.
Also, that's very expensive. It would be very expensive to use pure water for this.
Yeah. But okay, whatever. Someone's suggesting, how about with just water? No, that's not useful. We need to have a density gradient that's more than just the weight. Obviously, there's a very minor density gradient.
But it would be nice to see this see the control.
He's making a good suggestion. Just a few drops of milk. That would be sufficient to actually see the laser.
Yes, for control.
I guess so.
Depending on the volume.
Yeah, because
this is maybe like 10 liters or so.
Technically, that you are adding something that is in solution.
Couldn't you put something like a coloured board on the other side, like a black or a dark coloured board?
No, because the only reason you can see the laser here is because it's getting diffused by something in the water.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember that's how vision works. We don't see, and the photons have to reflect off of something for us to see it.
Yeah, they must somehow end up in our eyes. And since laser light is so focused, we need actually something for the laser light to.
It's not off. Focused. Focused is the wrong word here. It's not getting focused. It's being emitted. It's being emitted in a straight path.
Yeah, I think what Alex means is the fact that it's being focused by the kilometer. By the kilometer, you can think of it as focusing the light into a beam.
What I'm meaning to say is all photons are running parallel.
Yeah, they're collimated in effect, but there was a lens that did this, so it has been focused. If you want to.
Yeah,
it's not being focused by the water, but to get that beam did require some optics that did focus things.
Anyways, more garbage.
Quite surprised to see this. I was like, how the hell has that happened? This makes no sense to me.
Because you're a dishonest fuck.
Also, I like that he admits that it doesn't make sense to him.
Yeah, it's quite good, actually.
That's a step forward.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's see how many steps back he takes.
I was about to say.
A little bit back, because if light bends that much with this gradient, when you're looking perpendicular to the vertical gradient, then I don't understand how this doesn't seem to be representing the real world, in my opinion. Because if it was,
wait.
No, yeah.
It's not a representation. It is the real world.
There's two things. What he's trying to say, Micro, is that this laser experiment in water with this immense gradient of density in the medium is not representative on what we see in the atmosphere.
Yes.
Well, of course not. It's on a much greater scale.
Yeah. And remember, Micro, we showed Riley something similar maybe 1 or 2 years ago when we showed him a metal cylinder we cooled with liquid nitrogen. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we showed on how much the air that would cool around that cylinder would actually refract the light around it.
Yeah.
And he said back then that this effect was much smaller than what we saw in the atmosphere, without understanding that the angle by which the light was refracted was actually much, much bigger than what we observed.
Yeah. Why did you have to remind me of that? I had happily forgotten that.
More garbage.
1 second. Just had to send a message.
To judge anything towards the horizon with your naked eye at all, because it would all be in completely the wrong place. And if light is bending this way, if the Earth is flat, it's going to make... Can you see how the laser is basically curved? It's going to give you a curved perception, because a flat plane with curvy light like this is going to effectively cut the light, the ray trace before it gets to your eye. It's going to appear lower in your field of view.
Stop.
And it's going to give you
wrong.
Okay. Let's use paint again. So I'm sharing my screen.
Which end of the laser end does he think?
You're not presenting to everyone.
I know. Okay. So let's draw some flat
I've got a really
Earths.
good diagram for this, actually, Alex. If you could,
Yeah, wait a second. Let's do it the cheap way first. Okay. So here I got person A.
Alice.
And here I got person B. That's Riley.
Bob.
Okay.
No, that's Riley. That's why I painted him.
Then it's person R.
Okay. Now, in a refractionless environment,
you're dead.
There's a direct line of sight between the two. Okay. Actually, I would like to use a different color for this because the laser is green.
I've got a major diagram. I've got a fantastic diagram here.
Okay. As you can see, the angle of
it's not flat.
Being from
it's not flat.
When you're Riley,
not level.
Guys, trying to explain something here. The angle towards the ground in this case would be 90 degrees. Okay.
Stickmen don't have eyes.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Now in the situation
that definitely wasn't flat.
For fuck's sake. I haven't operated paint like it forever. Okay.
Are you having paint pains?
Yeah, that's good enough. Fuck it. The light would bend down. Now, where would Riley see? So in the case before, Riley would have to look this way to see Alice. But now he wouldn't have to look down. As you can see, the light bends down, but the position in which Riley sees Alice is further up.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So that's the fundamental misunderstanding.
Right.
When light bends down, the apparent position of the object you're looking at goes up, not down.
Okay.
Because that's how eyes work.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like
that's
to
not
show
how eyes work. That's just how geometry works. Okay, Rumpus, I'm sharing you.
Yeah. Thanks. Right. So here, this is part of my mega 150-page presentation. I still haven't finished yet, but this is one of the key diagrams. This is we've got a laser thing here. I mean, that diagram, that thing in Mike West is doing exactly what I was part of my presentation. Here you can see we've got a lane of thing, just like Mick West. There's the ray of light. And here, if we stick an observer here, for instance, and here we have an object. This is where the object is in reality. And you can see, so the light from it, if we think of light going from right to left, follows this arc to the observer. So where does the observer perceive it to be? Because, of course, the observer assumes the light's traveling in a straight line. So we follow the dotted line. Because the incoming there, we're assuming that this is the peak of this curve here. So this is at a tangent. So this is the line that the ray comes into the eyes at horizontal. So if we send out the horizontal ray, this is where the object appears to be, a perceived object, and this is where it was. And as you can see, it's been raised up. And we've seen on Globebusters as well, was it Bob Node on the rest of them, they've seen these diagrams in these tanks, and they come to the completely wrong conclusion that an observer will see it higher up. They get it completely wrong. I mean, it's 50-50, and they manage to get it wrong. Well, I suppose they want to. But anyway, I think this makes it very, very clear what's going on. The curve, the refraction in the atmosphere causes things to be raised up, not down. That's it.
Okay.
It's funny that because they have also in the past used the fact that refraction lifts things higher up to claim things like in regards to why we can't see stuff.
Yeah,
like, I mean, they've also gotten it wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean they
should be familiar with this.
It's just selective bias or confirmation bias, whichever we decide it is these at the moment. That's probably selection bias, that is.
That's confirmation bias still.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Okay, yeah, you're right, because the selection...
More garbage.
Post. Yeah, you're right, confirmation bias, yeah.
The perception that it's curved. If the Earth's flat, if light behaves this way on a flat plane, then it means that you're going to perceive curve. That's literally what it means. Have a think about that first. Don't overreact and put hate in the comments. If the Earth is flat and light curves this way, it's going to give you the appearance of curvature because things are going to appear to curve away.
Yeah, curvature in the wrong way.
Yeah, the wrong way. Exactly. Well said. Who's that, Micro? Yeah, exactly right. It will appear to curve upwards. It will give you appearance of a convex Earth. Yes.
It works in their favor. That's what they don't understand.
Yes, exactly. The fact that it eliminates. I mean, this is when you things like when George Hatchett was doing his experiment. When you have a sufficiently steep gradient, it actually makes the Earth look flatter and flatter. This curve, and so ultimately, if you get the a very steep gradient, which you can do, as in parts of my presentation, I've actually got some examples that have been observed in scientific papers. You end up there's a particular, if the radius of that curve matches the radius of the Earth, which it quite often does, in fact, you will get what appears to be a flat Earth. And if you accept that this does happen, then you get, and on a flat Earth, it would give the appearance of a convex Earth. So as Alex said, it's actually in their favor. It actually makes the Earth look flat, this behavior.
Yeah, and that's actually not the only instance where it's been shown, but the recent Lake Pontchartrain Causeway work that Jesse and Soundly did, Jesse drove along the causeway and got GPS waypoints, and when those were mapped out and then compared to the imagery, the perspective, the actual refraction that they're dealing with flattens out the bridge compared to the actual reading, the actual measure.
Yeah, indeed. So and there's another reason why flatties get confused. And we've been examples in the past which is why you can see things. I mean, one of these got an example on the Earth discussion group about a year and a half ago. I was slightly confused when I was first confronted with this video of some guy looking at an island off the Los Angeles or San Francisco. There are 2 islands, and you shouldn't be able to see them. So it made the Earth look flat, and of course it's because they've been lifted up, and it makes the Earth look flat because they've been lifted up. And so they were saying, "Oh, look, it can't be a spherical Earth because we can see these things we shouldn't be able to see." In other words, makes the Earth look flat, but we can see them because of refraction.
Seems to do what he says, but on the other hand, it also explains how on a flat plane, light will curve and give you a horizon that we shouldn't have. Now for the physics
wait, hold on. I thought hasn't Riley claimed that we don't see this?
You mean he's using doublespeak again and hoping people wouldn't catch it?
For fuck's sake, he has in the past claimed that no, we don't see any indication of curvature. But now he shifted to, oh, we do, but it's an illusion. Which is it? Make up your mind. I mean, I guess this is progress. He's technically gotten closer to the real answer.
Now I really want to see Riley talking about physics.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Angle play around thing that you can play with, and you can notice that you can see the angle. I've slid the material up so that it's more like glass beyond water, so it exaggerates the effect. But you can see as it gets horizontal or perpendicular to the normal or the vertical density gradient in this case, you can see that there is no angle. It's there. There is no angle. All that happens is it slows down. Now, this is a problem because if there is no angle...
Wait a minute. How can you say that it slows down when there's no measure of speed being shown?
Yeah, I'm trying to learn this, not trying to get confused.
Wait. Oh no. I think I just understood why he said that. I think he literally thinks that he's putting it in terms of like shooting a ball. And the ball losing speed and falling down.
Oh God, no!
I'm not sure I'm not sure he's claiming that the light hits something and goes down because it loses speed. I don't think he's that stupid. I think he's like he has.
But he would be stupid enough to say that,
and he has such a poor grasp of physics that his mind just jumps to that. I obviously can't know what goes on inside his head. Thank God for that. But I think that would be my guess of what the fuck is going on here.
I pretty much know what's going on in his brain. Let me give you a presentation.
Oh no.
Yeah, wait a second.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Just saying that's gonna be painful, okay? Wait.
It already is.
Wait.
Well, the speed of light is a constant, isn't it?
Yes.
Not only in the same medium.
Here's a presentation
it's always constant. You've turned yourself off, Gio.
I know. So here's Riley's brain.
For fuck's sake.
Oh yeah, that.
No, that's exactly what goes on.
Shouldn't they be print flat Earth?
No.
The syntax error is the joke, Grumpus.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right.
I know this joke was very basic.
No, it was.
Fuck you. Fuck you for that joke, Gio.
I think it was well placed.
Wow.
Angle. But light seems to be doing what he indicates. Then we have a problem. So I asked my friends and I said, does anybody have a fish tank and some sugar to validate this claim? Light shouldn't do this when the laser is horizontal. It should appear straight. Can anybody repeat this? Then obviously gave a link for mixed video. And I basically waited to see what would happen, because someone in my circle of friends has got to have a fish tank knocking around. Everyone's got one in the garage, right?
No.
Except you.
That's quite the assumption. Everyone has it.
Yeah, including him.
Me.
I mean, yeah, he's part of everyone.
Yes, I think he's part of that set of people.
Yeah.
Perhaps he
love
isn't.
how he assumes that I have a garage to begin with.
I mean,
What a twat.
I mean,
Everybody's got a tank, haven't they? Well, except for me, of course. Oh, and my next one.
I mean, I have a fish tank in my basement.
I got a petrol tank. I got a fuel petrol tank. Is that the same thing?
I don't have any tanks near me.
Right, hands up in this hangout if you've got a fish tank in your garage.
Hands up? What?
Yeah, I have my hands up. Can you see it?
Yes.
If you can put fish in a fuel tank.
You
Right, so
can,
in other words,
you can,
everyone-
but they just won't survive very long.
I wouldn't be able to see them.
So his claim that everyone has got a fish tank in their garage is not satisfied by anyone in this panel.
It's not satisfied by himself.
Including, I was going to just do we didn't know that for a fact, so we assume not, but I was going to do one where we can ask people. So yes, and very likely to be him too.
I can use anything for a fish tank.
Yeah, but do you have one in your garage like everyone?
But now
I've got tanks. I got tanks I can put fish in.
Yeah, but you haven't got a fish tank in your garage, have you?
I have a tank in my garage. It's a Panther.
Wait. Can we next hey, Rumpus, next time you're on with Riley, can you bring this up and tell him he's presuming fish tank?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't been on for a long time. I need to go on there and do the little news. I think Nathan's back in action, isn't he? And Riley is. Yes. Not that I want to do that really, but
more garbage.
Someone's bound to have a fish tank. So I got a response saying I can recreate that easily. I said, would you do it for me, please? And tell me if you can make the light do that. I don't trust him. It shouldn't do it because a laser at 90 degrees to the vertical is looking through the density gradient because the gradient runs vertical.
No,
it should only do that.
Yeah, no. Stop, wait. Through the density, if he's saying through the density gradient, that means that he's looking in the direction on which the density gradient actually is. That would mean vertical.
Yeah, he doesn't mean that though.
Case.
Yeah, he's English.
He means perpendicular.
Yeah.
Well, to the gradient.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to phrase it.
Alex, your English is better than his. He's only English.
God.
He's an English flat earther. So
I mean, to be fair, he is from around Blackpool. So.
Yeah, exactly. Liverpool.
Yeah, what do you expect from a dialect that is named after some sort of meat pudding?
Blackpool, the most evil of all pools. Or something.
Yes, yeah. Well, he's from near Liverpool. I think it's Ramsey's near Blackpool.
I just associate him with Blackpool.
That Riley wasn't vegan.
But he looks at Blackpool. He keeps on taking pictures of Blackpool from Liverpool.
Is it
it's because he's associated with big things in Blackpool.
So
Yeah, in fact, actually, I must say, this is something I'm having a problem with, actually, is exactly what happens. In that demo, you could, I've just gone to that website that he went to, but I was about to go, after this, I was going to go and talk to Philip, because I'm still not completely sure what exactly happens when you have a beam of light that hits the gradient at a perpendicular. Because if you have the opposite case, for instance, if you imagine that some light comes in at the critical angle and hits the thing, it will go along horizontally, or at least it will for a bit. I think it's unstable when it does this.
Yes.
That's what we were explaining earlier.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were saying, is that if you have a perfectly level gradient barrier and you go along the barrier, yes, it will stay straight. It will stay along that. But as soon as you have a minor imperfection that creates an angle of incidence, well, it snowballs from there.
You mean an angle of attack?
I'm gonna attack you with an angle if you don't stop.
Yeah. I'm with Micro on that one. Back to the stupid.
more garbage.
If you tilt the laser on an angle exactly perpendicular to the medium, is not giving you an angle of incidence, as we saw in the previous demonstration.
Stop.
Only an angled beam should do.
What do you? Perpendicular to the medium. This is backwards all over again.
You see, I don't agree with this. You see, if you're going along 90 degrees to the gradient, I still think it will bend, because you can think of the beam as having a width, and and therefore,
the further you go, the more it diverges, the more width, and you are going to impart an angle of incidence, which is going to create refraction.
Yeah, so I think even if you're going at 90 degrees, and this is the thing in my demo, actually, that you made in the examples I've been in my presentation, and I was going into this, I wanted to talk to Philip about this to make absolutely sure he's the theoretical physicist chap, and I've read up in places where they do say that this idea, you do think it should go 90 degrees to the gradient, that it shouldn't move, but in fact, because the beam effectively has some width, the top of it is has a slightly different refractive case than below it, and therefore it cannot stay going along horizontally. It will start to dip. But yeah, I'll get back to you on that one, because that's an issue. And in fact, Cortus and I have had debates about this as well, as to whether or not it's a slightly controversial issue. But anyway, Carol.
Do that. I think he's overdosed the corner of the tank to make the density necessary. If light did do this, you would not be able to rely on vision in a plane for anything over distance. If this can be repeated easily, please do it. And then the first attempt was, this is with the sugar in it.
Did anyone see a massive difference there?
Take a look at that conversation. Am I wasting my time on sugar?
That's redacted.
I don't know who he's talking to, but that is a good comment.
I just want to say, take a look at the shape of the redaction on the left, the second one from the bottom.
Yeah, but it's blue, not purple.
Was I a bit premature in asking about this before?
Wait.
If you do, well, this guy's obviously not using enough sugar. I mean, this is a well-established. This is, for my done, this is a well-established fact that you can do in your room. And in fact, I think I might do this as well. I want to go to that fish tank I've got in my garage, and then I'm going to do this.
Remember to take the fish out first.
Right.
Look at the clarity of the water in the fish tank here.
Yeah.
Do you think they put in the same amount of sugar?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
Well, I was asking this before.
You were, but it's an established fact that you can do this with sugar. So
yeah.
So the fact they can't do it is just incompetence of whoever. Yeah, they don't know. I mean, there is an example on YouTube of actually how to do this. They actually give you the amount of sugar you should put in and the size of your tank. So this is a well-established, back in the in your garage experiment that everybody can do and reproduce. So the fact this guy can't do it, that's his problem.
And then the first attempt was, this is with the sugar in it. And the question was, am I wasting my time on sugar? I don't watch Mick West. He's a fraud and a liar, purposely misleads and fakes his experimental results. I would trust NASA more than Mick West. I said, no, take a few buckets out, get that water level lower, much lower.
The other thing you have
put
to
loads of sugar in.
The other thing you have to do is you're supposed to pour it in very, very gently, because otherwise it will, obviously, if it gets all agitated and turbulent, it takes a long time to settle. So the trick is to pour in the sugar very, very slowly down the sides, and not in a manner.
And Do you see another critical difference right here?
Well, are you talking about the fact that it's not completely? Yeah, I was about to say that it's not completely level.
Well, the table's not level. Yeah.
Yeah, but
there is a slight tilt up, so any refraction would be like any comparison to what Midwest did would be.
But that's no different. If you can tip the laser pointer up or down, and it will still curve. It's not dependent on the angle of the.
As long as it's square to the tank. As long as it's square to the tank.
No, it doesn't need to be square to the tank. You can put it any angle you like. I mean, the example I've got here, for instance, the one that at my screen, if shares it. If I shares it again, have I got another example? Well, in fact, you can see it's angled down actually here. If you look at this diagram here, it is actually slightly angled. Someone was pointing it up at the thing, and it will bend no matter what you do. Now, whether it's pointing down or pointing up, there are other examples on YouTube of these things at all sorts of different angles. It will always start to curve, refract down towards the greater density. It doesn't matter whether you're pointing it up, straight, horizontal, or down. So it's irrelevant what the pointer's doing.
Okay.
The fact that it's not getting any result is much more likely due to the fact they just poured in the sugar, just chucked it in instead of very gently introducing it,
and
or didn't put enough in.
You know what would be awesome?
Both.
Actually, Rumpus chugging it in, then completely mixing it, keeping the laser on, and then making a time lapse of the sugar settling.
Yeah. I mean, I would just like do what we normally do in a lab, and just when you have a sucrose gradient, and just ultracentrifuge it.
Yeah,
that's for other purposes.
I was about to say you can obviously do that, but good luck doing it with an aquarium. The biggest centrifuge I've ever dealt with, and Micro, I don't know how big yours are. But the ones we had
well, the biggest one we had broke.
Doesn't everyone have a centrifuge in their garage?
Micro, the biggest ones we had six slots. Hey, it had 6 slots for 1 liter each.
That's quite big,
yeah. That was a pretty giant thing, and we got 200,000 or so RPM. It was 20,000.
That's dangerous.
I'm not sure anymore. I would have to look into my bachelor thesis.
We like our biggest one broke. It was already broken to begin with, and couldn't get above 4,500. Because it was already broken. And then someone put something in it, and it just tore itself to pieces, and like her ears hurt the rest of the day from the bang, and it jumped like it. This is a big fucking thing, like it's
I bet.
And it jumped like half off the table. Centrifuges are fucking
they're dangerous.
It's incredible how much energy is actually stored in them. That's why flywheel energy storage is actually a thing.
That's why they use flywheels to store this stuff. Yeah. It's a flywheel.
I mean, if you have something like the cool down smaller ultracentrifuges, where like you set it to cool down to like 4 degrees, like when you start spinning it, even a couple of minutes at like high RPMs, it's no longer 4 degrees. Like that, it develops a lot of heat.
Oh, you think that would release a lot of energy in that failure? The primary spinning element of one of the product lines that I'm too intimately familiar with is a 4.5-foot diameter metal disc with the disc itself and all its components weigh just over 3,000 pounds. And when the system is running, it's spinning at 90 RPM.
Okay, yeah.
I hope that's well tied down.
No, if you tie it down, that's when the things break. It has to be not tied down.
Oh no, the actual machine itself, because of how balanced that disc is, you actually don't get vibration from it. But holy fuck, when that bearing fails.
Yes.
And some people wonder why I say my job is not for everyone.
Hey, it could be worse.
More garbage.
Exactly.
And this is it with less water in it, and you can see the water levels a lot lower. And there does appear to be like a little tiny bit of a
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
Stop. So, who's noticing the mistake? He's not telling us on how much sugar he used.
Yeah, indeed.
That's the big problem with this.
Exactly. So the two big problems are the how he's put it in and the amount he's put in. Yeah.
And by the way, we can pretty much see the name of whoever he's talking to. I think I can identify it.
But he already forgot to blank it out in the first message.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
More garbage.
Except it wasn't.
I just said, what are your thoughts at this point? Well, I'm not seeing any bending, so maybe I need to let it sit overnight. But in his video, he is clearly pointing the laser down.
No, he's not.
Dodgy advice.
No, he's not.
He's
actually, isn't he actually bending it up a little bit? Or pointing it up a little bit?
No, Mick, in the video that he just showed of this guy trying to replicate it, yes, it was slightly up. The one from Mick West, if there was any deflection, it was 1/10 of what this guy had.
Yeah. God, these people have got no idea about measuring things, setting things up, or just basic practical skills. Oh.
You know, these are the types of students that their high school science teacher just passed them so they wouldn't have to fucking deal with them next year.
Yep.
I don't think Riley could have done science. I mean, that test he did when it was Conspiracy Cat.
Oh, yeah, Conspiracy Cat said he was very gracious on the grading.
He absolutely was. Absolutely was. I mean, the guy's got an understanding of science as about 13-year-old limit. I mean, he didn't even understand that trigonometry. He couldn't even do some very simple trig, or even Pythagoras. And Arwen was the same. These people are just, they've only equipped with a 13-year-old knowledge of the world. Oh. Or certainly no practical skills whatsoever. Although Riley did claim he put up a shelf or something, I think, on one occasion. Or yeah, that's about it. They can drill possibly.
Already done it. She'd mixed it up when she put the solution together, and I think Mick expressly stated that he didn't do that. So I think
there we go.
Wrong, so we had to wait.
Yeah, mixing it is bad.
I mean, she deliberately mixed it up, is he saying? Is that what he's saying? She deliberately mixed it up?
Because she doesn't understand the concept of a gradient.
Oh my god! Well, there we go. Micro and I've been going about how the mixing. Oh, that's with the. No,
I've got another stupid question. Does it matter how much water, like the volume of water in that tank? If that tank was like, say, another 4 or 5 foot taller, and you still
to get the ratio correct. If you increase the amount of water you're using, you have to proportionally increase the amount of sugar.
I wonder what would happen if you put in the sugar first.
And what about the effect of the light with the effect of water? That's the same.
You don't have a gradient in the water, so that shouldn't have affected.
Yeah.
Well, you will have a very, very slight gradient in the water, but that's like you'll never see that.
Okay.
To answer a question in side chat at Dan Ball, Riley at least had a small company which offered minibuses for rental, but I don't know if that still exists.
Well, if it does, he's not driving it.
Yeah, he had some. Let's just say he had some legal problems. I don't want to go into details.
I wonder if he's taken it to the EU court yet.
He was trying to.
Well, that won't work for much more time, I think.
Is he still doing this master's thing?
Didn't he go back to school?
Yeah, that's right. He supposedly went back with the master's. He's trying to get funding, wasn't he? He's trying to get GoFundMe for funding his.
He got GoFundMe for like £2,500 or something.
To put his application to do this political, where his angle was that the people who set the curriculums in the UK should have to deal with.
He wanted to write a peer-reviewed paper on flat Earth. That was his goal.
Well, no, I thought he was trying to avoid the words flat Earth. He wanted to just challenge that the people who set the curriculums, the law,
something like that.
were not allowing for other views, and he wanted to avoid the word flat Earth because he knew that was a toxic thing to say. But I thought, but he's supposed to be doing this. I thought he was supposed to be doing a paper on he had to apply to be accepted to do this at some college near Liverpool or something. And but he needed a couple of £1,000 to sort of just do the application part of it and to say he wanted to go on this course, and that you have to present an idea, I think, of the paper you wanted to eventually come out with. But he seems to. I've been out of the loop for the last couple of months, so I don't know if that's still going.
No idea.
Right.
Okay, so
I've seen a video of him walking the streets. Was he trying to sell himself?
Perhaps he is desperate. Yeah, perhaps. Or well, no. Now he's got this GoFundMe. I think he got a couple of £1,000 out of it, and so he's got that to live on for a few.
Okay. Question here. If you were to put the sugar in first, like have it just laying in the bottom, and then pouring the water in, would that help you get the gradient or not?
No. I think that's worse.
No, it would automatically mix as you're pouring the water in.
I think you're right, yeah.
Even if you did it very, very, very slowly?
Do we have somebody in our community who is familiar with fluid dynamics? Because that's what we would need.
I mean, I go to the toilet.
The flow, here's the thing. The flow as you are adding the water... Well, here's a question. How are you proposing to add the water to the vessel?
Trickling down the side very slowly.
That's the best idea. Still mix. It would still mix.
If you could add the water by putting it in a tube and then just putting it on the top of the existing water, that might work. Yes, if you could add it instead of pouring in with a bucket or something, if you had a tube and you just simply pointed it horizontally on the surface,
siphon it in.
Yeah, or something like that.
It would have to be a very slow application to minimize the amount of automatic.
I mean, obviously the other way is better. I was just wondering if,
because you do. Yeah.
Never mind. Move on. Nothing to do with anything.
The easiest way is what Mick West did, which was put the water in first. And then dump the sugar in across the top. Now, granted, having a mechanism that equally had the sugar across the width of the fish tank, and then an apparatus to open equally across the entire length would have been ideal. But
what you don't want to... Sorry, Karen.
Go ahead.
But what you don't want to do is what she said she's apparently done, which is to mix it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing. Of all the things you want to do, that's the thing you don't want to do, which is what she did.
Demon Orb in the chat has a good suggestion. Block of ice on top of the water, so it slowly melts.
You need a big block of ice.
Everyone's got a bigger block of ice in the garage, haven't they?
Micro, you have to take into account the convection currents that would happen there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is no different than if you're trying to put the water in after the sugar. Yeah. Which is why doing the water first, let it settle, and then apply the sugar in as evenly a manner as possible.
What you could do
from the top is the best.
What you could do, Jared, is add the sugar as a solid brick. Because this
would work too. Yeah.
If you wouldn't add it as powder, but as a solid object, like one solid crystal under ideal circumstances. So just take this bigger sugar crystals, don't you know them? You call them
salt block, the sugar blocks. Yeah.
But is it right?
No. Not the sugar blocks. They're like monocrystalline sugar pieces, about 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter.
Yeah.
I've never seen those.
They're really cool.
Is Riley about to say that she did mix it, but they're going to let it rest for a couple of days, which would indeed work. So possibly he's going to actually go ahead and
let's find out more.
Jared, take a look at my screen. Don't you know that stuff?
Oh, the fucking raw salt, raw sugar.
Yeah, that's like monocrystalline sugar pieces, approximately 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter. Because obviously, when you're pouring in the sugar, the more surface area you have, the worse it will be for your gradient.
Yeah.
So one single block of a sugar crystal would be ideal, but this is at least much better than the regular sugar.
But might take longer to dissolve.
Yeah, that's the point, Rumpus.
Yeah.
It's supposed to take longer to dissolve.
I think that the if I remember correctly, the English word for this are like rock candy.
Well, there are some that are rock candy, but we also through some of the higher end tea and coffee shops, they do raw sugar like that that you can get in a tin.
So at Björn Kamitz, this is just regular sugar. It's the same molecule. The only difference is that usually you get it in brown because there's some impurities in there, but you can also get it recrystallized. So there's also
actually the picture right to the left of the one you have selected now has it in a clear version.
I think there's an issue though that if you want it to dissolve moderately quickly, otherwise it might take several days to dissolve in that form, perhaps.
Yeah.
Several days, no.
Just warm water.
Maybe half an hour to an hour, depending on the temperature.
Right. Okay.
If you go for 30 degrees, let's say, it will be dissolved in 2 hours max.
Oh, okay.
Overnight whilst it's settled.
They did do that.
Pulled down to the earth with gravity. So then this is the next video where, again, we're trying to get a repeat of some curve.
I see it bending down slightly.
Yeah, there is a slight bend and still not enough sugar.
Yep.
More salt in it. Not really seeing any curve. Possibly a bit of an angle down.
Is she using salt or is she using sugar?
Yeah, he just said salt.
Did he?
Make your mind up.
Yeah, he just said salt.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's.
A bit more salt in it.
There we go.
Not really seeing it.
Yeah.
But this is just an error. He almost said sugar, then salt. Is he not? Is he getting confused?
No, he said salt twice actually.
Yeah, he repeated salt, and here's the thing: if you're going to use this using salt, you need to use a fuckload more.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, could you use both?
No, just use sugar.
Would the effect be additive?
Stick to the sugar.
No. I know. I'm curious now. Like would the effect of it be additive?
Yeah. Well, no. If you mix both, kinda, you're not going to get as much of an increase as if you stuck with solely adding sugar, because the salt is. While the salt is going to add to the amount of impurities, it's not by volume, it's not going to be the same cumulative effect. So you still end up having to put a massive amount more of sugar to actually get it to be analogous with what Mick West was doing.
And what's more, it was more likely to spread, I suspect, because it's less dense, it's more likely to increase the overall density of the water at the top, so you'll actually get less of a gradient, I suspect. Because you get salty water top, which will be denser, and because it'll be more uniform, because its density is less different, you'll tend to get a more uniform salty water, and therefore you're not going to get you're going to reduce the gradient possibility, because the water at the top will be denser than it would otherwise be with just the sugar. I think there's a danger you're actually going to reduce the effect, but who knows?
Yeah, because of that disparity between the relative density of either one, because things like that matter.
Yeah, sugar. Yeah, so
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, there's some bloody videos about how to do this. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's having problems just doing the first step. You moron.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think like you can't really blame the person who's doing the experiment. It's considering that they're getting like Riley's telling
info from Riley,
yeah, like it's Riley's fault that they fucked up.
Yeah, he should have given that. He should have pointed them at YouTube, which shows you how to do this.
And Bjorn Kamitz said salt is lighter than sugar. Wasn't he listening before?
He may have come in late.
Okay.
Okay, continue. More garbage.
Any curve, possibly a bit of an angle down, but looks relatively level, but the table's not bob on level. Anyway, this is next morning. Just woke up, need a coffee, then back to the fish tank. I said, forget coffee, I'm too excited. Thing is, even if you do get bendy light, the differential of density gradient is so ridiculous when compared to real life that it's just crazy. The atmosphere.
Well, yeah, you're doing it over. How
2
long
feet?
is that? How long? Yeah, 2 feet.
As opposed to 160 kilometers.
For fuck's sake, right?
That's not my point. Differential of density gradient.
Yeah, that's a that's some good, that's some good physics salad.
I is smart.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Is he trying to say the words different in density and the gradient?
No, he's trying to sound smarter than he actually is.
Yeah, Chad's got it.
I like big words.
And I cannot lie.
Oh, nice.
Varies either side of normal parameters by minuscule amounts relative to temperature.
Stop
normal parameters.
Stop, guys. I need to address something chemistry related in the side chat. Pheno 3000. To be considered as a molecule, you have to have what is called covalent bonds.
Yeah, covalent bonds.
Sodium chloride doesn't have covalent bonds. They have
ionic
bonds.
Yeah.
That means that the electrons, which in covalent bonds are shared by both atoms, are not shared in sodium chloride. The one electron that the sodium usually possesses goes over to the chloride ion completely. Which means that no, it does not count as a molecule.
Yeah, and they're actually physically.
I like Pheno's response though. My salt is not fucking speaking Greek.
And the point is, they're actually in solution. They're completely separated. There are sodium ions and chloride ions.
Well, no, that's we're not talking about it in solution here.
Oh, isn't he? Oh, right.
No, just something in the chat.
No, Rumpus, even in the pure salt crystal, the electrons are complete on the chloride side.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's definitely not a molecule, because again, for a molecule, you need covalent bonds.
Yeah, agreed. And the point is, with the sodium ion, it's radiating out its electrostatic potential in all directions, and so it's effectively bonded. That's why it forms a lattice, because the potential is radiating in all directions. And
exactly, the number of electrons and protons in the nucleus are not identical. In this case, there's one more proton in the nucleus than there's electrons in the shell. Therefore, this entire thing is charged one positive. It has one positive charge, and therefore anions. In this case, for example, the chloride are attracted to it, which is why when the stuff crystallizes, it forms this lattice in which there's always change between the positive ion and the negative ion.
And it shares, it's attracted to the next nearest, is it 6 neighbors or something in 3 dimensions?
That depends on the actual crystal lattice. In sodium chloride, it actually is, but there are different ones where the number of next neighbors actually...
Agreed, different. But in the sodium chloride case, I think it's 6 neighbors, and so it's radiating out its electrical attraction.
I wouldn't say radiating, that's the wrong word.
Well, it's radiating, there's an electrical potential.
Exactly, there's an electrical or Coulomb potential around it, which causes
well, all charges effectively radiate their electrostatic.
Don't say radiate. It's not a radiation.
It's a tensor field. If you really want to look at it that way, it's a field work, not. When you look at radiation, you're going towards emission, where it's not. It's not exactly that sort of effect. It is a field effect. If you want to look at it from that side of it.
Well, it's an electrical field, which I think you can argue it's like a magnetic field. There's a
those two are different. One is
the
magnetic field, the other one is
but they're both radiating.
Let's move on. This has nothing to do with the video.
Yeah, hold on. We talk about electrical flux and things. It is effectively radiating the charge.
When you put it in flux and you actually induce a current out of it, yes, but not when it's in a static, stable state.
You're claiming that in a static state there's no electrical flux.
You have the charge, but you're not inducing a current.
There's no current, but that doesn't mean, because we're talking about the electrostatic field, and that is, I think it's still correct to say.
You can discuss this afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
Continue.
Count as an actual experiment? I think it does. I said you are manipulating the presumed cause, the density in layers. So yes, it does. The density of the layers has an effect on the
in layers.
The dependent.
the density in layers. I think that's not how gradients works.
Well, I mean, this is you can mathematically describe it as an infinite amount of layers with infinitely similar.
Okay,
density.
but I don't think that's what Riley is doing. Just taking a punt.
Yeah, I think he can't use the correct language to describe what's going on, so he's going to struggle. But I think what he's trying to say is not too.
I mean, he doesn't obviously he doesn't understand how infinitesimal calculations work.
Yeah.
So.
Also, it would be incorrect since the molecules aren't infinitely small.
Well, obviously they would have the minimum size of one water molecule.
No,
one sugar molecule.
One sugar, yeah.
Depending on how you count it, yeah.
Assuming it's it's in molecular form, of course, not ionized.
Well,
sugar isn't ionized.
Yeah.
Water.
Not
water is partially ionized.
No, we're talking about sugar.
To a factor of 10 to the -7.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can.
So I'm right.
Cannot forget about that.
Yeah, were you making fuss about hidden and bloody drop earlier? There's the same factor, not far off the same factor.
Oh dear.
Anyway, get on with it.
Variable being the apparent bending of light. So yeah, it does count as an experiment because we're testing
it. One, but yeah.
So again, now this is the first video of the day. It's showing that there does appear to be a small amount of bending light.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, put it down right on the floor. Then. So she puts it angled down, and sure enough, it repeats what Mick claims. It bounces off the floor.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's cool.
It is closer, but again, because there's not the same amount of shit in the water.
The concentration sugar is clearly less in this case.
Yeah, so having the downward angle does help it to mimic the result. But again, it's not the same exact setup, so...
Someone called Def Leppard. We need to put some sugar on this thing.
Oh, sugar.
Christ. I'm like, how is it doing this? Oh, look, you're angling it down. Don't angle it down. So...
And put more sugar in it.
When it's not angled down as much and it's pretty much level with the surface
look how
of the
bendy that is, for God's sake, you twat.
Whoa.
And he's still pointing up slightly as well, this girl, whoever. Look how low that is, that blob on the right-hand side, and how high it is on the left-hand side.
Maybe
and it's pointing upwards.
Drop, at least.
So how can he claim that's not bending?
When it's not angled down as much and it's pretty much level with the surface of the worktop. You can.
That is for how clear this tank is compared to Mick West's. That amount of deflection for it being angled slightly up like that as well is perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, and you still have to understand that this effect in this fish tank is thousands of times stronger than what we see in the atmosphere.
Yeah, but he's denying it's curved, Alex. He still doesn't seem to be accepting that this light ray we're looking at is bent.
Maybe do you know that phenomenon that people or pupils in like first or second grade actually have troubles learning because their eyes are just fucked? Maybe that's the case with Riley.
He just can't accept what's on the screen. I mean, he's just so deluded. The evidence is there in black and white. Or red.
Let's find out how deluded he is by watching more garbage.
Well, he's live now. You can always ask him.
Kevin.
Oh, wait. Yeah. You know, you keep an eye on that. We'll do this.
Ever so slightly, but not a lot. And I said, I've seen it. What I would like you to do is keep the laser level. The tank is sloping slightly to the right. Put your laser dead level at different heights and see what happens. The laser should be slightly tipping up because there is an angle. It is not dead level. But whatever you do, don't bend the laser down. That way we know that we're not going any lower than like perpendicular. So it can only ever be slightly above. So
I can make out this name right here. Can anyone else? And does anyone recognize the name?
CW.
I don't recognize the name. I can see it. I mean, it's that one. Yeah, there we go. You were fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a familiar name to me, but let's keep going.
Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is another attempt at trying to get it as low as possible. And this is to see whether or not, and that looks pretty level, to see whether or not we can get this bouncing light thing that Mick shows. And if we can, then that's interesting, because it's like, how this is defying what the physics says. The physics doesn't say it should do this.
Yes, it does.
True enough, we managed to replicate to the same extent that Mick gets it. The light appears to bounce off the floor and then frog hop.
Hold on.
Does anyone see why that's happening?
You mean the hopping? Well, yeah. because the bottom of the aquarium seems to be a mirror.
Yeah.
No, but he's got more bending now, hasn't he? Suddenly, where did this extra bending come from? Is he just resting it for another day?
So no, this is late. This is apparently later in the same day.
Right.
So it has settled, and here's the thing: due to gravity, you are going to get more of that. You are going to get that hop when you are using a mirrored surface, and you are as low as possible, because you are going through what is the densest medium, which is going to give you the most deflection as the beam progresses.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, so like, let's say that Vaidi was correct. I know, challenging concept, but try sticking with me. Let's say he was correct, and this is showing something other than the physics predicts. How that just means the physics is wrong. That doesn't mean that this doesn't actually happen in real life.
Yeah, you need a Nobel Prize. If he's claiming this is incompatible with physics, Nobel Prize
well,
work.
There's that, but like, that's not an argument. Him discovering that physics that this does happen, and physics apparently not saying it shouldn't happen, still isn't an explanation.
Yeah,
because that would just mean it's been happening all the time.
Yeah, this supports. Come on.
I was going to say, I'd like to see him slide the laser down the outside of the glass from the just under the top edge of the water, right down to the bottom, in one shot.
Well, let's continue and see what happens.
So I said, do me one last thing. Print off a skyline, put it at the end of the tank, look from where the laser was. Does it match what the laser suggests it should do? You should not see the skyline at all if the light is bending through the medium like that. I wonder if the laser light, when seen in Muppet vision, does the same thing. Muppet vision? Yeah, the new name for orthographic view, Muppet vision. My thinking is at this point is that if the light really is bending that...
Is this Muppet vision thing a joke? I don't understand.
Well, he doesn't believe in orthographic views, does he? He's a moron.
Yeah, he does not think they are a valid tool for explanation and representation. Yeah.
I mean, he's been affected by Nathan, who gets really upset about this way of representing information, and they decided it's not valid. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable.
Well, you know why they really say that it's invalid, right? Because it shits on their parade.
Yeah, it's just. It's just so. When people are fighting on this sort of level, you just begin to think, well, there's no amount of education I can give to you to help you out here. This is just sort of basic logic.
What's orthographic view?
Well, just a side elevation. You know, if you have the three ways you look at an object, imagine you had a drawing of a box or a rectangle or a rectangular box, and you have a plan view, a side view, and the two side views, and they're basically denying that one of those side views, a side elevation, is a valid view to have. An orthographic is just a reflecting that.
And you want to know what's hilarious? By looking along the length of the tank, the way all the videos have so far, that's the orthographic view.
Well, it's actually perspective view, of course, because when you're looking at the camera, it is actually perspective. But
you said the P word. You said the P word.
Yeah, I know. I knew it was a dangerous place to go. But when you have an orthographic view, you don't include perspective. So something that was, for instance, a rectangular box, and you had it in orthographic view, and you were looking along one of the axes, you wouldn't see the sides of the box if you're looking.
Well, no, I'm saying the direction at which you're looking at the laser path in both his friend's video and Mick West's is completely analogous to the orthographic view that they hate.
Well, yeah, but it's analogous, but it's not the same. It's perspective, because you're looking using a camera and you're looking at it. Yeah. It's not an orthographic view.
Yeah, because it's 3D instead of 2D.
Yeah. So yeah,
it is still the manner of analysis. It is still the same directionality that they don't like. Gotta love the inconsistency.
Yeah, well, they like the idea because because they don't get confused about the viewing operation. They don't seem to realize that you don't have to think of it in terms of an observer looking like the laser. I mean, they seem to think if they ever do bring this up, one way to really confuse them is say, okay, then if you don't believe, because what they like to do is say pretend the laser pointer is an observer, and they like to compress. Going from left to right, they like to apply a perspective transformation, so things get smaller from left to right. Then you ask them, well, okay, what about if I've got two viewers in my diagram? Well, on the right-hand side, now what do I do with the image? Do I compress them both ways? It's an orthographic view basically means you don't include perspective, and it means there's a specific form. You can, for instance, in 3D programs, you can ask for a perspective view or an orthographic view of something coming from the side. Orthographic view means specifically you do not have any perspective elements to it. It's not just the direction. It's not just the direction, Jared. Orthographic specifically means it cannot have perspective effects in it. So it's not just whether you're side elevation or front elevation or plan. It means you mustn't have perspective, which means if you're looking at the side, an angle on it means that all the dimensions appear to have the same length in your view, whereas with a perspective it wouldn't.
Well, yeah, because you're dealing with a single frame of reference instead of multiple when you're actually doing the perspective bit, especially with how they want to manipulate it.
Well, I mean, for instance, if you're an Autodesk or something, 3ds, you can ask to have this image rendered as though you were an observer, or you can have it rendered as though you were drawing it in a technical drawing diagram. And so it's not the angle which you were saying. It's what you do with how you represent it. So you can have orthographic views, for instance, that are mid, where you could have an orthographic view that just looking at a corner, edge on, a point on, and so it's not the side. An orthographic view just means you don't include perspective in it. It's not to do with whether you're side, plan, or front elevation.
Yeah. All right.
We're rambling again.
Yeah, we need to get this finished.
And when you come down to look at it from the side, you shouldn't get a compression. You should get you should see it bouncing off the floor each time. It should curve down and then curve up, and then curve down and then curve up to represent the curves.
Yeah, again, Riley, it would be much better if the floor of your aquarium wouldn't be a fucking mirror.
I don't think it's actually a mirror. I think it's just because it has a glass bottom.
Yeah, okay, then make paper or something in there.
Mirroring because it's got a smooth reflective surface.
Yeah, whatever it is. Obviously, you don't want to have this mirroring effect.
Yeah.
I don't think it's doing any harm. The key point here is the goddamn ray is curving, and this is the whole issue. The fact it's bouncing off the bottom has nothing to do with all this lifting up and the effect on these views that Mick West was demonstrating of whatever it is, Chicago or something. The point is the light's curving, and that he was denying that it did this. And now we've got an example of it curving. That's the issue to focus on. The bouncing is irrelevant.
Yep, and just to hammer that point, asking for this from a regular camera is inherently dishonest, because in order for it to be analogous to what we actually see and experience in reality when we look in the direction that laser was going, the sensor and camera would have to be maybe 1/100th the size of this one, because you're not seeing. The problem with this is you're looking edge on the majority of the gradients. You're not trimmed down to only a small portion of it. And that is why this is not going to match what he expects based on what the laser was doing, which he is going to conflate as, oh, it's wrong then.
Oh, I didn't really understand what you said then, I'm afraid.
He's saying that camera size actually is relevant for this.
yes, camera element size is relevant to what he is asking for now.
Because Rumpus, think about it this way. Imagine you have a big ass DSLR with like a 5 centimeter diameter lens.
Right.
Then the top of the lens will be on a height in which the density of the sugar molecule is much less than the other end of the lens. Well, not the other end, but the lower end of the lens.
So what?
It would be similar to if you could build a camera with a lens, call it the size of the Eiffel Tower.
Right. I'm not getting this, but I think we'll just carry on anyway. I don't understand the point.
Scale.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just walked into
camera right to the end, and we see the same effects that
did I enter into
Dante gets with his boats. So now we know that the compression is caused by the atmosphere, right? This is a flat Earth proof.
No, it's not.
No.
This is what we've been saying the whole time.
So, in other words, whatever he looks at, he ends whatever argument he's presented with. This is a flat Earth proof. It's irrelevant of the evidence of what he's looked at. Oh my god. Oh,
yeah. Again, this is why I said scale. If he had access to like a small spy camera, that would have been closer to an equivalent for reality, because scale matters.
Why does I don't understand why you think the size of a lens is going to affect how you see things.
Because you are looking through hundreds of layers instead of the smaller portion that the actual laser is looking through.
So are you talking about the lens of the camera that's
yes.
from the side elevation, or are you talking about the? I'm not sure what lens you're referring to. The one in the camera that's taking the video we're looking at.
This one.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. This one. This view would be by scale for proper comparison. Would be like using a camera the size of a radio telescope.
Yes.
Yeah, but Rumpus. Okay. So currently, this camera is focused on the buildings in the background, right?
Yes. Okay. So okay.
Wait. Okay. So the light rays that hit the different part of the lenses actually have different paths.
Yeah.
Through...
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't realize. Yeah. I now understand. I thought you were referring to the side elevation. Yeah. Okay. So indeed, your lens is basically covering a huge portion of the gradient. Yes.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah.
And as it's not focused on the intermediate part, the light rays will actually travel through different layers of density.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Therefore, the distortion will be different, even for the same piece of the skyline in the background, because the light rays that are coming off the skyline in slightly different angles, one hitting the top of the lens and one hitting the bottom of the lens, will have traveled through different layers of density.
Very different layers, yeah.
And that's the main problem with this.
Yeah.
A contradiction. We get that compression like in real life. But if you think that you're seeing light bouncing its way across like the laser shows, you must be off your head. Anybody disagree? This laser is 1 meter above the water over 14 miles. This warrants explanation. If the side profile shows bouncy light, but the first person view does not, what's going on here?
You only that's not what first person view means. That's not what first person means. The fuck are you talking about?
It's utter gibberish. I mean, he's saying basically we ought to be seeing bouncy light. We know we've got an example here that's on extra concentration, which we know is bending light more than the atmosphere does, but it's done to this. You know, they haven't set up the scale correctly, has he, to make sure it matches over the proportion we're seeing to get the same bending of light. I mean, oh God.
Also, the fucking ocean isn't a mirror.
Yeah, exactly that as well. I mean, he's basically saying, why is he not got an exact scaling of the concentration? He's basically saying, why has Mick West not set up an exact simulation of the atmosphere with the exact level of bending across the tank to give you a representation of what's happening in real life? Well, of course not. He hasn't bothered to organise. You probably can't control the density to that sort of level that you would want, or to match the atmosphere. I mean,
and he doesn't need to.
No, he doesn't. He's demonstrating a principle.
Yeah, and it works perfectly.
Because Riley, of course, doesn't accept at the moment that atmospheres bend lights at all. He was just, he's he's in denial of the physics apparently, and he's very old now. He seems to have changed position from one start of the video to the end of it. He's saying, "Oh, it doesn't happen," and now he's saying it does happen. But now it's saying, "Oh, it does happen, but it doesn't happen quite the same way as the atmosphere." Yeah, okay. So
the physics is wrong.
So quantifying it is not right, but that's because they haven't set up a model that matches the atmosphere. They set the principle, which you disputed, you moron Riley, that light is bent in the atmosphere, and this is demonstrated that it does through a density gradient. And you can emulate that with some sugar and water, or we know in the atmosphere the density varies up and down and causes the same effect. We haven't quantified them to be the same. Oh, Jesus.
Is it ironic? Well, ironic isn't the right word here. Isn't it's kind of funny that Riley, as a British person, is essentially being defeated by the world's weakest cup of tea.
Okay, that'll do, I suppose, Micro. Yes, it's probably quite a strong cup of tea. Actually, I think.
No.
I mean,
there's no tea in it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, this you're talking about the sugar concentration, but yeah, the.
Wait, I need to talk about the parody here. Sugar. Give me sugar.
What?
In water. Seriously?
Oh, Men in Black.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
that's very good. Unbelievable that he even now he's accepted the principle now. He seems to have done that light bends, and now it's a question of how much. So he's changed. He seems to have understood the principles being thing, and now he's just complaining that the model that Mick West has created doesn't exactly match reality. Well, idiot.
Hey, R&D is on my side. He thought my joke was funnier than yours.
You guys know that I now have to Photoshop Vincent D'Onofrio's face from Men in Black over Riley.
Why do you have to?
You know, in the scene where like he pulls his...
He's pulled his face back here.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Better like this?
More garbage.
It would make Riley look better.
The idea is if we put the light, we want to try and put the laser back at the end, and also put the camera at the end as well. So view the laser light bouncing through it as the in first person view, because the reality is we shouldn't get light bending like this with a laser. But the fact that we do, now you can see the laser bending right the way.
Where did you get that from?
We shouldn't, because it proves me wrong, but we do, so I got to explain it away.
So what does he mean by it shouldn't? Is he claiming then that A, it doesn't happen, or B, the physics says it doesn't happen? I'm confused now. So he's got this reality.
He says that the physics, he thinks the physics says that it shouldn't happen because he doesn't understand the physics. But
the consequence of that is that the physics is wrong, and therefore he needs a Nobel Prize for discovering this thing. And all these video tubers all deserve Nobel Prizes for discovering that physics is giving us the wrong predictions. I mean, this is just... He can't really mean that, can he? I mean, but it doesn't... Oh, it's difficult to see otherwise, I must admit. This shouldn't happen. It's happening, matey.
You might,
yeah. What we need to do now, and then the comment is the concentrated light does seem to behave different than the natural light.
What?
Well, no shit. No. That is actually a true statement, because here's the thing, and someone in the chat already pointed this out too. What is the difference between a laser light and natural light?
Well, there are 3 differences, actually.
Yeah.
First of all, laser only has 1 frequency. So in this case, it looks like a neodymium YAG laser with, I think, 532 nanometers. Second of all, it's highly, focused, coherent, however you call that.
Coherent is the right phrase.
And third of all the photons are in phase.
Yeah, that's what coherent is. The same frequency and same phase.
Okay, that already includes that. Okay.
Yeah, which is not how natural light is. So of course there's going to be differences.
But it behaves in the same way. I mean, the difference is a distinction without a difference, because it bends in exactly the same way. Well, okay, it bends slightly. Again, it's the quantification. It doesn't bend.
It's more noticeable.
Yeah, more noticeable because we change the concentration. But the light, it behaves in a qualitatively like the atmosphere. So it is behaving the same way, but not exactly in quantity terms.
Right, you could theoretically simulate natural light by using an infinitely big amount of lasers with different wavelengths firing in different directions.
Yeah,
the fact that we only use one of those is just easier to demonstrate.
Well, there are light sources that do reproduce sunlight, and that's all. That's the only difference. Well, of course, the light we're talking about is from an object, which means it's coloured. So, I mean, if you're looking at a coloured object of a particular colour, the light you're seeing is from that object, the colour of that object. So that's going to be different from objects of different colour, which means it refracts less because the green colour we see in that laser will refract at a particular level, and if it's a higher frequency, it will refract more, and if lower frequencies, it's red, it would have refracted less. It's colour dependent. So, you can claim, if you want to claim that's a difference, then, so what? Different colours refract differently.
Yeah.
Which I agree with. It seems to be that laser light seems to be bouncing off the floor, but ambient light, normal sunlight, doesn't seem to do it.
No, it's because it's being bent more, you moron.
Wait. So in his brain, are there like two kinds of photons?
It's basically complaining about the quantification again, in the fact that because we're getting more bending, because this experiment bends the light more, therefore it hits the ground. Well, that doesn't happen now. So because the concentration doesn't match, it's not modeling the atmosphere exactly. And they seem to think, oh my God, there's a huge problem because we haven't quantified the concentration properly there because it bends more. It's the principle you need to be accepting, you utter moron.
That's an insult to utter morons.
It is a bit, really. Yeah.
The ray traces for the light rays, but if it was bouncing off the floor twice as you move down into the medium.
Actually, it was bouncing off more because I see a double. We got a double there.
I mean, it's amazing. He was complaining earlier he wasn't getting any effect, and now it's spending so much, it's hitting the bloody floor of the aquarium. So he's complaining about. He might as well have chucked the half of the first video where he disputed this happened to toys. Said, we're not getting any bending. I mean, he's basically been saying Mick West has been lying about this for half of this video, that he was getting these results by doing something devious and untrustworthy. And now he's complaining that it is happening exactly like Mick West said, but it's happening more so. So, I mean, he needs to take... I mean, what a wanker to sort of... he doesn't withdraw the accusation against Mick West making something up or lying or deceiving. Now it's getting exactly the same effect. He's complaining about it. What a tosser!
What do you think the how do you think the special photons from the moon will behave?
Those cooling photons.
Yeah.
Twice as you move down into the medium,
right there.
You should start
magnetic radiation that doesn't carry heat.
It's nonsense.
Yeah,
for so many reasons.
To distort terribly, and you would see the floor, then you'd see it appear again, then you'd see the floor, then you'd see it appear again, then you'd see the floor, because that would be a representation of what you would be seeing inside you. So the last thing, put the laser facing the light, the skyscape again, but look from the same position as the laser, so that you're following the laser from behind. If the laser is seen bouncing, then we have to wonder if we are seeing a bounced image or not. I know it sounds silly. And then there's the video that was sent back to me. And then I said, do you think that you are seeing bendy image there, or is the laser acting differently for some reason? And the answer back was, honestly, I don't know. Now,
really,
when we watch this video, you've got to say that if the laser is bouncing the way we see it in Mick West's, that the ray traces that are tracing from the image back to our eye, you've also got to say that they're doing the same thing, because we see the laser bouncing off the floor and bouncing up. And are you trying to tell me now that our light is bending the same way than when we look through this medium? It appears to me that the laser is not matching reality for some reason. There's a
well,
I just thought
the laser is part of reality.
Hang on, I just thought of something else that's probably playing a factor here. Imperfections in the glass at the edge.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not going to affect.
There's a lot of stuff. Like, how do they know that the angle? Are they measuring the angle of incidence perfectly? I mean,
it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter what's happening in the glass. All we need to worry about is the angle of the light as it emerges from the glass, and then worry about what happens after that. It doesn't matter whether it's pointing up, down, or whatever. Just as long as we can see it entering the water and then seeing what it does as a path through the water. That's the only thing that matters. What angle it exits the glass is irrelevant, because all we can see is that it doesn't matter what angle, it will always be bent down, hence giving the effect of lifting objects up and emulating a flat Earth. And the fact that Riley can't understand that it's the scale of the effect that's causing this bouncing, I mean, it's just a fundamental problem with his logical engine, that he can't see that if it was not bending so much, then this issue he's talking about would completely disappear. It's because they put more. If you put less sugar in, matey, it wouldn't bounce on the bottom. It would reach the end of the tank.
There's one thing about this that I really like. I like the fact that he's talking about ray tracing and shows the green laser. The micro just got the joke. for the other people, NVIDIA.
Yeah. Fuck you for that one.
Wow. Okay, you made up with the Men in Black one there a little bit.
Okay. So how much of this video is left? Maybe 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Oh,
okay, so let's get this behind us.
It's not the same as ambient light. I don't know why, but I just realized that if we were seeing bouncy light off the floor, we would see when we change our elevation, we would see the skyscape in the background disappear, reappear, because that would be representative of the leapfrogging effect, and we do not see that.
Wait, so that's not what leapfrogging means.
But it's also wrong. The fact that it's bouncing does not mean to say you'll see multiple images. You only, when the light comes to you, if this is what was happening.
He's not saying multiple images. He's saying that if that was true, then as you go up, you should
you change your elevation.
Yeah, as you change elevation, because you will be in different parts of the bounce. You'll have the image move up and down.
Well, it's not going to change. He was implying it changed whether it's inverted or not, wasn't he?
No.
Well, obviously, as you move up, and I mean, imagine you are the observer at the left-hand side here. Imagine the rays were going right to left instead of going left to right. As you went up and down, of course, you would see different things, but it wouldn't. You would not know it was bouncing, basically.
No.
So he's implying you would be able to somehow perceive this bouncing would cause some odd effect. It wouldn't. It would just simply change the position of the things that you're looking at, as they would be if it was no refraction. That's all. You would not perceive very different, except the fact that if it's bouncing might invert it or something. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, the fact that it's bouncing is gonna make you less sure that what you're seeing corresponds with the. In reality, but other than that, it's not gonna I think in his world, it means that if you go up high up, you would go up. If you go up, then the picture's gonna bounce up and down.
No, well, that's exactly wrong. This is my point. Is all you would perceive if this was happening is it would just be possibly inverting as a result of having the bounce, but you would not perceive a different very much. Changing elevation would just simply cause you to have the normal change in the position of the thing as you would expect in any normal. You don't perceive just because you can see it's bouncing from the side elevation as we are here. You as the observer, if you were where that laser is, you would not see any of this. You would just have the normal changes you'd expect in elevation, except for possibly the fact that having bounce, it'd be. I
mean, it would kind of wouldn't it be kind of analogous to a mirage, like a heat mirage in some?
It's similar ways, because that indeed you do get similar effects with an inferior mirage.
And you don't see that see things
exactly.
bounce.
This is what happens in an inferior mirage, yes, because you do get the inversion. Well, you
kind of like it's
sort of do, yeah.
The effects for you as an observer would be quite similar.
But the difference with the Mirage, one last point, Jim. The difference with the Mirage is, of course, you have different with the whole point in inferior Mirage is that near the surface you get an inversion of the gradient, which you don't get in here, and so the effect is similar, but it's not a bounce. But you do get, depending on your elevation and what you're looking at, you will get an inverted image at one point or not, and as your elevation increases, you will not be subjected to the thing. So it's more complicated in the atmosphere, but here, because we've got a uniform gradient, unlike the atmosphere where you've got inverted gradients in the thing, here it's simpler. But
do me a favor and take a look at my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the blue line represents an inferior Mirage. Am I right?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, solved.
So this is actually why up to a certain distance, under inferior Mirage conditions, you actually cannot see an object.
Yes.
Because whatever is, let's just say there's a second object here.
And you're demonstrating a very valuable point in this diagram, Alex, is that the same point on your purple man on the right, the light is arriving from two different angles to the man observing it on the left. So he sees the same thing in two different positions. And that's what the inferior mirage is. You're seeing the same thing. The light radiating from the source object is coming in at two different angles to the observer. And that's why you see something inverted, because you have the same thing coming in from different angles.
Yeah, so take a look at the now cyan guy I drew. As you can see, under the same angle, the light that's emitted from this guy would actually hit the planet. And this is basically why the blue guy wouldn't be able to see this guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the time when Riley said, or when Riley misquoted that quote MIT paper that was talking about inferior mirage conditions?
Negligible.
He was basically wondering, or he was claiming that inferior mirage would cause only a limited distance to which objects could be seen, and he's pretty much right, but only under those extreme inferior mirage conditions.
Correct.
Which is something he did not understand.
Correct.
There we go. Okay, more garbage.
I can't explain it. I don't know what's going on. But I don't.
Yes, surprise.
Wait, stop. That's the first honest thing I've heard from Riley in a long time.
Yeah.
But he's still going to assert some bullshit.
Yes.
Yes, this is. I don't understand, but this is how it is.
It's basically like
Dunning-Kruger.
It's basically his equivalent of saying, "I'm not racist, but."
In this way, ambient light appears to act in a completely different way. So now, because we were testing this, if we place a couple of pennies on the bottom of the tank where the light seems to be bending down, the pennies are still visible. And get this, the bottom of the tank looks curved. And I said, no way. Look at the sides of the glass. Can anybody say Pontchartrain? All right, spell. No. You get the gist.
I can say Pontchartrain. Pontchartrain. There.
Yeah, well done, Marco.
In what way does that look curved?
I
mean, maybe that's just a compression, but I can't pretty much see anything.
It looks like a slightly out of focus.
Well, are we talking curvature left to right or front to back?
Yeah,
no, front. If he's referencing like Pontchartrain, I would assume it's front to back.
Yeah, I think that's what he's referring to. And it does look slightly curved.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
That's just fish islands, or possibly perspective.
Definitely perspective.
Well, obviously the view in front is at a different. Oh, there's a word for that. To where it's further away, the focus. Yeah.
Well, I don't think the bottom of this tank is level anyway. I think it's wiggly.
Well, yeah, that's something that needs to be established first, that the bottom of the tank is actually perfectly flat.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
No, not flat, leveled.
Well, in this case, both.
Yeah, both, I think, in this case.
Yeah, I agree. It looks a little bit warped.
Yeah. That looks our horizon on a flat plane. It looks like stuff appears to be
Can someone fucking explain to me how you can have a horizon on a flat plane?
Yeah, you can. The plane ends.
Yeah, the plane has to end. Yeah, if it's infinitely long, you're never going to get one.
You wouldn't see the.
In fact, what happens actually, Gerard, is that your resolution of your eye, which goes down to 0.02, whatever, or 0.02 degrees.
Let's say 1 arc minute.
You'll eventually cease to be able to see beyond a certain point, obviously, because the resolution of your eye can't cope with it. So that effectively becomes your horizon, where that resolution of your eye can't distinguish anything further.
No, that just means you can't resolve any surface features anymore. At one point, it would just become a whatever color the horizon has. Mess.
It would be a blur color at that point.
It would just be blurred. Yeah. There wouldn't be a distinctive line.
Yeah. So there's a limit to what you.
Of the Earth, right? You can see the obstructed buildings. It looks just like things are going behind the curve. So you're looking at the buildings in the background. You can see as we move up and down, we can see that the buildings appear to be falling behind said curve. But look at the sides of the what you call it, the fish tank. The sides even look curved, just like Pontchartrain.
No.
Ladies and
what the fuck? What kind of LSD are you smoking?
But hold on, we are looking through something with a density gradient on it. So we are expecting it to be curved.
Well, wouldn't we see the same as what the light's doing, the laser?
Yes, I mean, that's right. The things we're looking through are being subjected to the same effect as the laser. So the light is being curved by us looking through this. So possibly the effect of the curve is, in fact...
I think at this point we really need somebody who has the mathematical knowledge or the physical knowledge to actually calculate this.
We can do this. Philip and I have got something where we can actually do this now. We can actually model this absolutely properly with ray tracing.
Couldn't a kindergarten kid do
it? Do you by any chance need a new graphics card? You know, one that can do ray tracing?
No, we've got it all in software. It's all done. We can do this.
Software. Well, your software when you can have it hardware encoded.
No, we won't do the ray tracing.
Encoded is the wrong word. Sorry. Like
built in.
Yeah, they're hardwired. I think.
Yeah, but this is but the thing that Philip and I have been doing actually does ray tracing following with refraction. So that's no card would be able to do that. I don't think.
That's exactly what they're made for.
Yeah.
Oh right. Okay.
They're literally made to mimic how light actually works in real life.
With a density gradient, with atmospheric refraction.
Yeah, if you put it in an environment where that happens, then it will do that.
Okay, well that's what we've modeled. Okay, well, okay. Well, we've got the software, so we can do this now. So yeah, and we've actually done in the presentation I've got. We actually do flat Earth and spherical Earth models using ray traced with refraction and miraging. We do all the things the atmosphere does. And so yes, but we haven't. But whether or not you'd get a, so this is on a flat Earth with a refraction. Would you, from the observer's point of view, would you expect to see a line that's going off to you being slightly curved? Okay, we can have a look at that. Yeah, okay, we can. Yeah, we could probably have a look.
I'd like to see if we see the same thing if we zoom back out.
But the point is, but we're looking through a tank, which does cause curving of the light. So any effects we're looking at, if this is like looking through the atmosphere. But quite whether or not that would create the effect we're seeing, the curving of the what appears to be a slight curve in the side tank. But this tank, I'm suspicious about this tank and how it's been constructed. And it would only require someone to not put the base in properly or something, and we've been completely confused.
Well, when the side view of it, you can see how straight it was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, outside of the tank is what you need to see.
Yeah,
I mean, it's assuming a perfectly. It does curve quite a lot towards the front, but but the point is, it's got a sugar solution which bends light, so it will have effects. So he's saying, oh, we're looking at these buildings, and he said all these things just now about, oh, look, it's causing these buildings to do that. Yes, that's what the atmosphere does. This is emulating the atmosphere, although it's not quantified correctly, it's not modeling it correctly to say correct scale. It is doing the sorts of things the atmosphere does. So yes, you would expect it to do that.
Did he have any camera view of this, or was that the exact shot that we've seen from the beginning?
Yeah. The shot from the side on one we've been seeing the whole time.
Although I suppose Riley's point is that this is working on a flat Earth, I suppose, where this is a flat thing. So I suppose you will get more. Yes, then it comes in a quantification issue because, of course, on a spherical Earth, the refraction is more because the layers are more. The layers are curved, whereas on a flat Earth, of course, they're not. So you do actually get more refraction for a particular density of the air. But you could emulate similar things by increasing the. You get much. In other words, in the models that Philip and I have done, if you put on a flat Earth, the refraction has much less effect because because you get these angles coming in at this 90 degrees, and you don't get the same level of refraction. Whereas with a spherical Earth, the layers of the density gradient is curved, and that causes more curvature, more refraction. I think you could probably emulate the same thing by having a greater concentration. So it's all to do with the modeling it properly with the right numbers of the density, because of course we don't know what the density gradient. So you could probably emulate a flat Earth with an increased density gradient, but with the density gradient we know in the atmosphere and with the curvature of the Earth, you then get the right results. But obviously, if you had a flatter Earth and a greater increase in the density gradient, you could possibly get something similar for a particular density gradient. But for what we know with the modeling the air and the spherical Earth, nature of the Earth, we end up with the results that are right.
So just to clarify, you're saying that this video footage wasn't ran from him focusing in on that or zooming in or moving it left or right before we froze this actual shot?
So I didn't understand that.
When the image we're seeing now is a video footage, not a still photo. So
does that make it? Why is that different? Sorry, I don't understand the difference.
Well,
the camera.
You'd have to back it up to see if he actually focused the camera, moved the camera, or was it just straight away, just loop straight? Yeah, that's how far back does it go? The start of this scene.
Can anybody say Pontchartrain? All right, it's spelled wrong, but you get the gist.
Oh,
the gist.
So it's
so now, obviously, I've this
okay.
clip's
and then you'd move the camera like that. That was only
Well, there was some right here at the beginning. You can see the camera's trying to autofocus.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
In half speed, but look at how that looks just like our horizon on a flat plane. It looks like stuff appears to be falling behind said curve of the Earth, right? You can see.
Moving. So it's nothing to do with zoom or the lens. It must be to do with what we're saying, that the actual refraction in the liquid, like the laser did.
Is he trying to say that because he's only not seeing all those objects the other side of the aquarium, that somehow this flat Earth is accounting for the fact they're cut off, despite the fact those other objects are well below the level of the aquarium?
Yep.
And he's moving the camera up and down, saying, "Oh, look, we're seeing different amounts. We're seeing it cut off." Well, yes, they're below the surface. They're not at the same. If those objects in the other side of the aquarium were at the same height as the tank, you would be able to see all of them. They wouldn't be cut off. You utter moron.
Hey, Jared.
What a dick. He's put some objects below the height they would be on a flat. In other words, he's saying if this was a flat Earth, these things are in a hole the other side of this flat Earth. You wouldn't be able to see all of them. Right, great.
They get cut off, yeah.
Is that disturbing enough for you already?
Yes. Oh, you're getting there. The only thing that'll make it better, if you want to say, is getting the purple object back in front of the chin.
That's a sentence you only say once in your lifetime. Yeah, I'm gonna keep working on that, I guess.
Yeah, that's a screen catcher.
Okay. So how much is left? 1 minute?
Less than a minute.
The obstructed buildings, it looks just like things are going behind the curve. So you're looking at the buildings in the background.
Oh, yeah, because they're below the tank, you moron.
Yeah, they look like that.
Yeah.
Buildings appear to be falling behind said curve, but look at the sides of the what you call it, the fish tank.
What you call it?
The thing he doesn't have and is too lazy to get himself.
The what you call it? That's technical.
I mean, whatchamacallit is a technical term.
Yeah.
I use it all the time.
So it's a thingamabob.
Yeah.
I cannot believe this guy thinks that because he's got some objects the other side of his tank that are below the level of the tank is somehow representing what happens on a flat Earth. You don't have. I mean,
we can see it. Look, below the thing.
Oh my god!
Sides even look curved, just like Pontchartrain. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we've found our explanation on a flat plane for not just how the sun sets, but how Pontchartrain is explained and also how light is explained.
And can I just make
wait, stop.
Wait. This tank is above the surface of the See, those other objects, the other side of the kitchen, they're on the same kitchen surface, which is about not quite the same exact height, but something similar. And this thing is sitting on top of the kitchen surface, and so are those other objects that he's claiming are cut off. Well, yes, this tank is above the surface of the kitchen.
There's an even more interesting point to be made here. Remember last time Riley was talking about Lake Pontchartrain? What was his claim back then?
Electrolysis?
No, the one before that.
Electrolysis.
At this point, I consider electrolysis just to be a brain fart.
They built the bridge. They built the bridge with the curve in it.
No, even worse.
Oh, okay.
He claimed soundly faked the entire footage.
Oh,
he said it was CGI.
Well, he claimed that Mick West had done the same thing here, didn't he? I mean, the guy his first response is to say, you're a liar. That's his because he's a compulsive liar, he assumes everyone else is. And so people like Mick West, and he hasn't retracted the accusations he made earlier in the video, that this was all made up by Mick West. And suddenly he's completely forgotten that now they're reproducing exactly the effects. What a git.
So when did Riley acknowledge that Soundly's footage is real?
Never.
I don't recall that happening, actually.
No, I don't think so. But just like this, he probably just keep quiet about it. I suspect he knows, because Jose, I think, is on the... Well, he has several other people who reproduced it, and or not exactly. He claims they're not exactly okay. He just claims they're not exactly the same. But he just like he hasn't with Mick West here. He's not said, "Oh, Mick West, okay, your image was correct." I think even if he did believe that Soundly's images were valid, he's not going to say so.
Okay, so for the audience, if you want to make sure that I'm right about this, I should have an old hangout on my channel in which I talked to Riley and I think a guy called Numby Num, maybe just Numby, I don't remember.
Yeah, Nummy Num.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. He actually used both labels. I just don't know which one he used at the time I was talking to him.
Right.
In which Numby Num and Riley actually go over Soundly's Lake Pontchartrain footage. And I do some geometry and to show that whatever they claimed back then is wrong. I think it's not Numpty, it's Numby. N-U-M-B-Y. Whatever. So yeah, if you don't believe me or something that Riley didn't claim that this stuff is fake, then go back to then. Should be one of my earlier hangouts, maybe numbers like 6 or 7.
Why am I seeing refraction in the glass on the sides above the edge? That's what I was looking at.
I think.
Yeah, the lights refract. The outside source light. You can see.
I think that might be something off in the distance.
Yeah, I think it might be reflecting off a hob or something. It's a second. You got a second.
I think there's something in front of that window or something.
Yeah, on that surface. There's a light source. I think there's there's a reflective surface on the surface there. That's before, so it's being reflected before it comes into the aquarium.
It's throwing the image off there on that side.
You mean he's not using adequate controls?
Yeah, well, there's things like that. Yeah.
I'm still stunned by this. He claims he can't see objects on the other side of the kitchen that are below the surface of the aquarium floor, when the aquarium floor is clearly raised up above the surface upon which those objects on the other side of the kitchen are sitting.
Well, technically, we can't see the bottom of them.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason is the aquarium floor is above. I mean,
and so what we can't see the bottom of the foundation of an offshore wind turbine. Well, guess why that is?
Rumpus, would you say you're flawed by this claim?
I am flawed. I mean, this is stupid. A 13-year-old would be able to work this out. Why they can't see the bottom of objects across the other side of the kitchen because this object in front of us is slightly raised up. I mean, God, we're giving these guys too much credit, I'm afraid.
And we don't see any mirroring on the surface of anything when we're down at this lower angle, do we?
Actually, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we can see it. Do you see this like this off-white thing on the left side? No, I mean in the background. Yeah, that one. You can actually see the reflection.
Yeah, and if you exactly all around there. I mean, obviously I think this is some undissolved sugar that we're seeing presumably on the thing on this side of the tank.
No, that's bubbles.
Either it could be sugar, it could be bubbles, or it could just be damages in the glass for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, but it's occupying what you can. In fact, this would support the fact that this is curved. You see, the sugar is I believe this is undissolved sugar, and that's why, because the bubbles.
You mean
the one on the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I was thinking about the one that's on the side panels.
No, that could actually be that it's that could be dissolved sugar.
Yeah, and
undissolved sugar. Sorry.
And the fact that it's accumulating in this bottom left-hand side does suggest, in fact, this tank is not perfectly flat.
Yeah, we didn't see him level it this way. We only seen him level it the other way, the lengthways, not the width. Yeah.
And even then, the only leveling that was actually shown was the laser.
I mean, it could be this is deliberate. I mean, it could be that perhaps aquariums are designed this way so that gunk all goes into the corners rather than going on the floor.
No, I don't see any reason to do so.
Because remember, it's just there's gonna be sand and rocks and gravel at the bottom, and you're gonna have a pump.
Yeah, we're presuming that room's square because that wall where it reaches the ceiling.
The only reason I would see to make or to design aquariums like this would be that the actual arch in the bottom glass piece, if it was one, would actually stabilize it for the water pressure on top of it.
That's true. But usually you just put in a very thick piece of glass at the bottom.
I don't know. I've never owned an aquarium.
Everyone's got one.
Yeah,
in your garage. Look in your garage, Geo.
I don't even have a fucking garage.
Go and have a look. You might have a garage, and if you find it, then you'll find it.
Everyone has a secret garage with a.
I have something similar to a garage. It's like
one of those coming out now.
You can park two cars on top of each other with a hydraulic system where you push one up. But it doesn't have so I don't think it's a garage.
Well, maybe the aquarium is hidden in somewhere in there.
Yeah, let me guess, it's full of hydraulics oil.
Go look in your neighbor's garage.
They don't have one either. The entire apartment block has.
Find the nearest garage. It's
and
look for the fish tank.
Yeah, that's your mission. Got homework to do.
Anyways, should we? Are we at the end?
Yeah.
12 seconds.
Let's play the last 12 seconds.
Laser lights do not do what we are told. Shout out to Mick West and Soundly. Shout out Refracted.
Laser lights do not do as we're told.
Yeah, my laser light doesn't do what it's told. It's normal.
I think you're right. That was undissolved sugar.
Okay.
Oh dear. What a dickhead.
That's an insult to dickhead.
It is really. I mean, he can't even, they're at the start of this video, he's complaining they weren't getting there. I mean, he must have been familiar. I mean, this is even more of his idiocy. He obviously knew the footage he was going to play at the end when he started this thing. And yet at the start, he was saying, oh, look, it's not doing this. Mick West is lying. And then he must have known he was later on going to move on to footage in which he could see the curving of the rays. So he can't even he does not even aware he's got a cognitive dissonance that's so obvious that, as I say, a young teenager could see that they can't claim at one point that it doesn't do this and then at the end that it overdoes it.
The two things I say is that he says the lake positrane and the curves at your forward, at your front vision, and the lake positrane has the curve in the rear distant vision, but that's compression zoom that gives it that amount of curve at that distance, and it's got it back to front in the fish tank. So I don't know. Two different things.
These flat Earth problems are just one small. They're just the peak, like the peak of an iceberg. Underneath is this mass of problems he's got, and then what we see is the flat Earth stuff, which is just the stuff that's sitting above the surface of the water. That's just the visible bit that we're dealing with. But underneath that is a whole area of lack of education, wishful thinking, delusion, anti-establishment, fighting against reality, social dysfunction, and this is just one manifestation. Just like the Arwins and the Nathans, these problems with flat Earth and things are just one tiny part of the whole problem they have.
Well, I've only been on the internet for about a month and a bit now, and I haven't even been converted. I didn't get converted to a flat Earth almost straight away with my limited knowledge of math and physics. I've just started to see the logic in things and go, well, that's what I gather, what I've always seen myself. Well, How do they think things are flat? Well, this doesn't make sense. The sun and the moon, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, that's just your confirmation bias.
Shit.
Just the fact that the sun does not goes below the horizon. It's all you need to see in the world to think, the Earth can't be flat. And somewhere else.
And the filter thing. The filter thing got me straight away when they started showing images of the sun getting like glowing when it hits the horizon, and I'm going, you don't look at the sun like that. Don't you need some sort of filter?
Yeah, and when you do, it does not change in angular size throughout the course of a day.
Okay, so what do flat earthers and the president of the United States have in common?
They're both abject retards.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the other thing. They were all caught looking at the sun directly during an eclipse. Well, to clarify, during the partial phase of an eclipse.
I've been called out in the side chat. Someone doesn't know me.
Well, Terry Davis is an awesome New Zealand guy.
Shut up.
Was is there though? Oh right, yes. Was has turned up in the chat? No, was. Yeah, he's a New Zealand. I think Was is a New Zealander, or is he?
I don't keep sheep as pets.
No, you keep them as sex slaves.
Ouch. That's what the sheep said.
No, the sheep says bah.
I'd understand the joke if you said it was kangaroos, because then, like I keep.
You don't fuck a kangaroo.
No, the kangaroo fucks you.
Exactly.
The challenge is actually catching it.
Yeah, that's it.
No. The challenge is dressing up as a lady kangaroo to entice it.
And I'd also take the thing that I live near the beach, so wouldn't I be a surfy? An Aussie surfy as well?
Wait, don't like 95% or so of the Australian population live on the coast?
Yes, because the rest of it is the fucking desert.
Yeah, that's just desert and maybe I don't know, kangaroos and the speared musical instrument
and a lot of camels.
Yes.
Yeah, don't blame us for them.
You know what's so broken there?
Is it true that the Australian army once had to fight against emus?
And lost.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
I mean, have you seen emus? They're basically velociraptors. The only thing that comes closer is the cassowary.
Do you know that there's one confirmed death by cassowary? Yeah, some dude got his throat slit by a cassowary once.
Yeah, because they've got a pointy thing. One of their toes is a little dagger type thing. I think.
Yes, that's why I said that they're basically velociraptors.
Right.
And you're right, Brain.
Yeah, but that's a cassowary, not an emu, though. I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I said both.
The Brainery says the drop bears are everywhere. Yeah, well, they might be everywhere, but you never know when they're going to drop.
You got a question from Terry, asking where you are in Australia.
No, he's in New Zealand. We discussed this.
Shut up, you. Go and bite you. East Coast.
Terry, just to get revenge on me on micro.
I'm not doxing myself. Yeah, what can I get back on micro?
Okay, so in order to piss off micro, you have to call him a Swede, and in order to piss me off, you have to either call me a Bavarian or an Austrian.
Well, okay, you're only Schwarzenegger and he's ABBA. Okay, I get it.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being ABBA. I think I'm owed a lot of money in royalties.
Right, I'm going to go eat something in a minute unless we haven't finished.
Yeah, I think we're going to finish it off here anyway because we've been on air for, holy shit, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I think we've covered both points. The first one literally took 10 seconds and the second one...
Wasn't this going to be only a quick hangout?
Yeah, I thought so, but as we saw, we just discovered a gold mine. So we're gonna do this.
It wasn't a gold mine. It was a shit mine.
Oh yeah, sometimes I can't see the difference. So we're gonna do this the good old Reds rhetoric way. So Rumpus, you're the first one.
Humanity's got a lot to apologise for with that, Riley.
Yeah, I think that there's a quote from Halo 3. I think where one of the monitors of the installation says we deserve to be forgotten. I think that fits pretty well for humanity, considering that Riley is human.
Is he though?
Yeah. I mean, there's always great diversity within taxonomic species.
Until Riley has an offspring with another human, with a human, and that offspring itself produces offspring. I'm not sure.
But his parents were human, and because of the law of monophyly, he must be human as well.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If that was true, you would never get speciation.
I'm not saying. Well. You know what? Fuck you. I'm not having that talk again.
Yeah, we'll be here another 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay, so Terry, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm going to find out if Riley needs to get his prescription checked for his glasses or something, or you can borrow mine. I don't. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I don't think he's short-sighted or anything. I think his eyesight is fine.
Oh, there's something wrong with his.
No, it's further back.
You mean the hollow space between his ears?
Oh, something else then. Okay. That's it. That'll do me for the week.
Okay. Next one. Who's next one? Team Skeptic.
He's not here.
Cream Skeptic.
Okay, then I'll just kick him. Thanks for joining, Team Skeptic. There you go. Okay, Micro.
Oh, well, this was I mean, I just spent my Friday night doing this.
Okay, so
I may need to go have a cry or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. My advice is to grab a big ass pillow and then you scream into it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good. Or
Yeah,
maybe some beer.
That's usually what I do after talking to flat earthers. I cry for humanity. Last but not least, Jared.
Oh, why did this have to start so early?
What do you mean by early? It's 11 p.m. over here.
It's 5 p.m. here.
Yeah.
So this started mid-afternoon, right after I got home, like right as I got home from work. So that was good timing.
Well, but yeah, I started at 8 p.m. my time, so I think that's reasonable for me. I mean, I literally can't go much later without having to run into the risk of having a, I don't know, 3 or 4 hour hangout that ends after midnight my time.
True, but now I'm out of beer for movie night.
Oh dear. Well, that assumes that what you have in America can actually be called beer.
It actually is the only brewery to compete at Oktoberfest and win.
Okay.
Sam Adams.
So, just today, I bought 3 different varieties of beer. There was a special offer where you could get smaller trial packages. So I actually have a new type I haven't tried yet. So that's the plan for the next few days. Getting drunk on that stuff.
Yay.
I have to rename the hangout. Why that micro?
Oh, sounds good. But all right, it's been fun. I think I'm going to go back to blowing shit up in video games for a little while.
Which game?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna head out. I'll have to be up very early tomorrow. So for the still 64 people watching, thank you very much for suffering with us, I guess. And see you next time.